and welcome back to the Funfiltered podcast. I am Sam, and I am joined as ever by Jordan.
Hello.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We've got a lot to catch up on.
The only podcast on the web that has a release schedule that makes Halley's Comet look busy.
Exactly, yeah. So we aim to rectify that, but I still don't think we can call it a promise given the fucking technical bullshit we have to go through to get here. So, but ideally, we're going to get better, aren't we?
Yeah.
We probably say that every podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we have new equipment this time, so we're like...
Yeah, a whole new horizon of
this
shit.
This is the plan now.
Yeah. All right, we're just going to get straight into it, I think.
Yeah, go for it. Okay. Coming up.
We fire off some quick-fire wrecks.
We fire at some quick-fire wrecks.
It's a written thing.
It'll make sense, yeah.
We discuss tidbits in the news and stuff.
The triumphant return of Sam's Lexicorner.
We review The Northman.
We review The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
We then review Everything Everywhere All at Once, the film.
We review Top Gun Maverick.
And we cluster review the clusterfuck. Oh no, that's giving it away what we think of it, isn't it? Everyone knows what we think of it. We cluster review Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Thor Love and Thunder, and Ms. Marvel, kind of. Okay, we're going to have a quick fire round here, Jord.
Is this anything like the quick fire round from episode 60?
I can't remember that.
That was a 2 hour...
That was the last episode.
2 hour quick fire round.
That was the last episode, and I can't remember it.
Okay.
So...
April, we recorded that.
April, okay. So this is
now
going to be...
mid-September.
Yeah. This is going to be divided into racks and wrecks. I admit that's a written pun.
Yeah, it doesn't really work, does it?
So fine, for the podcast
we'll put it in the chapters.
We'll put it in the thing. Racks and rubbish. Or something like that. Okay, we've watched a lot, so bear with us.
Okay.
My first recommendation is a film called The Princess.
Oh, Rex recommendation. Rex.
Rex or wreck like a car wreck.
Yes, gotcha.
Yeah. And you know enough about car wrecks.
Thank you. You waited until the episode where we didn't have time to elaborate.
I mean literally as well. Like I'm not saying like, oh, Jordan's a car wreck. Literally, he knows about vehicular collisions. Okay, my first recommendation is The Princess.
What's that?
The Princess is a documentary about Princess Diana, her marriage to Charles, its breakdown, and her death. It's the kind of documentary you'd like, because there's no narration or talking heads. It's purely archive footage.
Oh, right, okay.
I just thought it was like a really interesting snapshot of a time and public opinion about the royals. And then like the furore and the hysteria after she died. Christopher Hitchens pops up in footage that I hadn't seen before.
Okay.
And that's very rare, because I've seen everything Christopher Hitchens has done. And he argues with a random punter. That's quite funny. Yeah, it's quite dispassionate and balanced. It avoids the twin pitfalls of hagiography and character assassination. Okay. It's quite objective. And I quite liked it. But I do have a bit of an interest, not in the royal family necessarily, but in that period of time. I have nostalgia for the late 90s sort of thing.
Okay.
So that's my first recommendation.
All right.
My second recommendation is a TV miniseries called Marriage. Have you heard of this?
No. Is it recent?
Yeah, this year.
Oh, yeah, presumably it would be, yeah. We're catching up, of course.
Well, that's the thing.
Our catch-up, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Marriage is a stark portrait of a long-term married couple, written by Stefan Golozewski, who did Him and Her and Mum. I think I mentioned those shows too.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I really like both of them. Sean Bean and Nicole Walker play the couple. They're brilliant. Her boss, played by Henry Lloyd Hughes, who's the bully from The Inbetweeners.
Oh, right.
You know, whatever his name is. Is odious, like rightly odious.
Yeah.
It's very, very well observed. It's kind of like the dramatic equivalent of the comedies he's written.
Okay.
You know, so minute observations, kind of very well played. It doesn't employ the same real-time technique as those two shows, but it's still very effective, and it generally takes place over kind of 2 or 3 locations per episode.
Okay.
If you've been paying attention, Sean Bean has left behind the always dies trope. And he's moved into excelling in British miniseries trope.
Oh, right. It's okay.
It's like every year he's in one. Last year it was Time, I think it was called, where he's in prison. He's really good lately. It's worth a watch, but it requires patience. If you're not up for it, you're going to be bored.
Okay.
It's very slow.
Right, okay.
That was the main criticism, is nothing happens.
Okay.
It's boring. And the theme song is way too loud.
Okay.
Which is a weird thing in this day and age. But when it comes on, it just blares at you. And you're like, Jesus, like you have to take your headphones off.
Do you think that was intentional?
Maybe because the show is so kind of restrained. I don't know. But otherwise, I thought it was really good. But I concede not many other people are going to.
Okay.
It's very slow.
Right, okay.
Okay.
But his performance is, I assume, good.
Both performances are very good.
Okay.
Yeah. He's really good. He's very insecure. And like he hangs around at the local gym because he fancies a woman that works there. And he tries to spend as much time with her as possible. Like, my locker's not working, whatever. And she walks off and the guy comes in. It's like she knows he's into her. So she wants to avoid him and like, oh, you go deal with it.
Okay.
And it's just kind of a bit horrible to watch.
Right.
But no, really good. My next recommendation is The Bear, which you've seen.
I have seen The Bear. I also recommend The Bear.
Yes. What's The Bear about, Jordan?
The Bear, it's this guy. It's this guy, he's from the world of fine dining. He was like an up-and-coming star in the world of fine dining. And his brother kills himself?
I think, yes, he does.
It's strongly implied, maybe even confirmed, that the brother kills himself and leaves his kind of like...
sandwich shop.
Yeah, his little sandwich shop that's kind of struggling, but it's got a loyal, like, it's got a place within the community, a loyal following.
Yeah.
And he has to basically whip the staff into shape while also making sure that they don't, like, go under.
Yeah.
The main conflict, obviously, is the cousin.
Yeah, he and his cousin are the two main characters.
Yeah, and the cousin has a very... It's a typical, like, no, we do it this way. And he's, like, the new guy coming in with the new ideas, and there's, like, a new trainee that's kind of on his side. And, yeah. So it's basically just about them, like... It's one of those typical, like, it's about a group of people, like, learning to work together.
In a very pressure situation.
In a very... Like, it goes from the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
It's full on.
It's a mile a minute.
I mean, that's the one thing I liked about it, is that it manages to, like, create this sense of, like, chaos and anxiety without becoming confusing.
Like Boiling Point.
Yeah, I mean, that's an obvious comparison, because Boiling Point was also in the kitchen.
Comparison.
And episode 7 of The Bear is entirely...
It's a one-shot.
It's a legitimate one take as well.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because, like, I would say the show is very humble.
Generally, yeah.
That's another thing I really liked about it, is that it's a very humble show that isn't showing off.
No.
And so that's what makes episode 7 so uncharacteristic.
Well, am I right in remembering it's half hour?
They're mainly like 20-minute episodes, and then I think the finale's 40 or 50.
Okay, and it's a drama.
Yes.
So that's very unusual.
Yes, exactly.
Jeremy Allen White plays the main character.
The main guy in it.
He was Lip from Shameless. I think that's what most people would know him for.
Okay.
When I did watch Shameless, he was pretty much the best thing in it, I thought. And he builds on that promise in The Bear. I also really like, I think it's Ebon Moss Backrack, that's his cousin.
Okay.
But he plays a really good part.
Yeah, I don't think there's a bad performance in the show.
No, but they're the standouts, definitely.
Oh yeah, the main two, yeah.
Yeah. Like the hectic, Boiling Point vibe. This is weird little niche now of kind of insanely
both Boiling
tense.
Point and The Bear are occupying.
Yeah. And there's a new one coming out with Ray Fiennes and Anya Taylor-Joy.
Oh, right, okay.
I don't know if it's like similar high.
Well, if they're all as good as Boiling Point and The Bear are, then I'm fine with this niche existing.
Yeah, and maybe for having worked in a kitchen, there is something uniquely horrifying about depictions of a busy kitchen.
Oh, I've like every like comment thread that I've seen regarding The Bear, it's just people saying, "Yeah, I work in the kitchen. This is all legitimate."
Oh yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, and it really is. It does feel like it feels really authentic, which is nice. Like humble and authentic. There's just like the way the characters speak to each other, because it's obviously set in modern day Chicago.
It's Chicago. It's very Chicago.
So you've got a lot of characters speaking very colloquially, and it doesn't feel forced.
No,
which is a good sign.
Yeah. So we both recommend The Bear.
Big recommendation from me. Yeah.
Okay. The next recommendation that you've also seen is The Black Phone.
Yes, I did see that.
Yes,
at some point.
Do you want to give the plot?
Do I? Yeah.
Think about it.
Okay. It's set somewhere, some small town America.
Yeah, like Indiana or something.
Yeah, somewhere like that.
Stranger Things, sort of.
Yeah, there's this kidnapper that's kind of like stalking the town. All these children kept getting abducted and they disappear, and this boy gets kidnapped. And I get the gimmick of it is that there's a phone in the cellar where he's being kept. And he's able to communicate with the children that were previously held prisoner there.
Yeah, and they kind of help him form an escape plan.
Yes, yeah. And the guy who kidnapped him is played by Ethan Hawke, turning in a surprisingly good performance.
Yeah, I mean, Ethan Hawke is fab, but you don't associate him with that kind of role.
Yeah, it's a very showy performance.
Yes, like showy villain, creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wouldn't say that the film is like, there's bad performances in the film.
No.
It's not like a badly made film, it's not a badly performed film. But his performance does rise above everything else.
He's what you remember from it.
Definitely.
He's what you remember. Yeah, it's directed by Scott Derrickson, who I think did this instead of Doctor Strange.
Yes.
It's simple, pared down, stylish horror movie. It's based on a short story from Joe Hill, who's Stephen King's son.
Yeah, and it does.
And it's very Stephen King.
Yeah, I think if you just, like, if I were to describe the premise properly, if I'd done a proper job, you would think it was written by Stephen King.
Yeah, like kids on bikes in, small towns in America.
You've got like a young girl who's very like
telepathic, isn't she?
Well, there's a telepathy angle to it, but just her attitude is very Stephen King. Like she stands up to people and she swears.
She's
and
quite
she doesn't,
Beverly from the
she doesn't take any nonsense.
Yeah, it's smart, it nips along at a decent pace. Yeah, Ethan Hawke is fantastically creepy. I thought Jeremy Davis was really good as well. The father.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah,
because I've never seen him do that sort of thing. He always plays like eccentric dweebs.
Yes.
Or like in Justified, he's the criminal that can't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The kids aren't annoying.
Yeah,
which is a plus. There's a supernatural element that exists without explanation, which I also like.
Yeah.
It's just there. It's set in the late 70s. There are nods to horror films of that era. It's kind of the dawn of the milk carton era of missing children in America. Kind of harkens back to that. It's not particularly scary.
No.
But it's a smart, deeper than it looks thriller.
Yeah. I don't know how to characterize it, because it is a horror film.
Yeah, it is.
But it's not a scary horror film.
It's like technically a horror film.
Yeah, but it's not. It doesn't go the other way and become like Mike Flanagan horror, where there's a real emotional...
not as
like
strongly.
A guttural horror, if that makes sense. Like emotional horror.
No, yeah, it's not. It doesn't plumb as deeply as Mike Flanagan stuff does.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the time to be fair, but this is... It's just a smart little film. It's, it's more of a supernatural thriller than a horror film, I suppose. Yeah. But I would recommend it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I guess I'd recommend it as well. No reason not to.
No, like, if what we've described is what you want, then you're going to like it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, next on the list is 13 Lives.
I haven't gotten around to this.
Oh, you haven't got around to it?
No.
Okay. So it's a film from Ron Howard about the, I want to say, Tam Luang cave rescue of 12 young boys and their football coach. And then kind of there's an international effort.
Was this a news story?
Oh, it was big. I mean, there have been loads of cave collapses.
I think I'm thinking of the Chilean miners. Yeah. But it's a similar thing.
These are miners.
Oh, there you go.
I didn't even have...
Still got time to fit the jokes in, folks.
Didn't even have that written down. And there's an international effort when they can't successfully do it themselves. Kind of people from across the world come in to try and help.
Okay.
Principally, Colin Farrell and Viggo Mortensen were their characters. Obviously, real life people, but they're two British guys who... It's interesting that they went for two non-Brits when I'm thinking about it.
Colin Farrell and
Viggo Mortensen. Yeah. And they're doing British accents, and convincingly.
Okay.
And they do just seem like normal guys. There's absolutely no showmanship to it. They look like just men.
Okay.
Like, if you weren't a film person, it's feasible that you wouldn't recognise them.
Okay.
And not because they're unrecognisable. It's not like Colin Farrell in Batman.
Yeah.
But they're like, oh yeah, it's Colin Farrell. He's like, there's nothing, there's no makeup, there's nothing.
There's no aura to them.
There's no aura to them.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no showboating. It doesn't require high profile stars. It's very tense. It's very claustrophobic. If you've seen Apollo 13, you'll know that Ron Howard can do this sort of thing very well. It's stripped down, little to no flash, very matter of fact, which suits the seriousness of the true story. It's almost documentary-like. Like, that's how kind of objective it is, I suppose.
Okay.
There's very little characterization. You don't know much about the men. You like the people involved. There's no contrived interpersonal drama. And the film is kind of bubbling with a spirit of cooperation.
Okay.
It's very heartwarming. It's like, oh, that's just nice. Everyone's in it to help each other. There's a guy that he kind of fails. They recruit all these different people to help. And this one guy doesn't manage to perform his task successfully in the cave. But, like, it turns out okay. And he's crying because he's like, I fucked up. I could have, like, killed someone. And they're all just like, dude, it's fine.
Okay.
Like, don't worry about it. Like, it's all very, like... It's men being men, but not blokes.
Okay.
Do you know, it's men working together to do a thing. It's a solid professional depiction of professional people being very professional.
Right, okay.
And it's a film with a good heart, which is rare these days.
Yeah. Would you say that it's... I know this is not an officially recognised Funfiltered term.
Sure. Is this a Jordan's Lexicorner?
No, well, it was before, and then you rejected it. So it's not.
Okay.
But it was, I think you'll remember when we reviewed, well, you might not, because you've made it clear you don't remember recording this.
I do not.
The moment the record is stopped. When we reviewed Greyhound, I attempted to come up with the term crisis thriller.
That's right.
Basically just a film where it almost doesn't care about the characters that are in the story. It's just, here's the situation.
Yeah.
Here is the people trying to solve the situation.
Mm-hmm.
United 93, Greyhound, Shin Godzilla. There aren't really characters. There are people in there, and they are characters, quote unquote. Yeah. But it's not about them, it's about the situation they're in.
Well, yeah, I would say that this occupies the space between Greyhound and United 93.
Okay.
United 93, very dispassionate. You know, it's like, it wasn't long after the tragedy.
Yeah.
It's like, we're not no known faces.
Yeah.
No personal, love story, anything like that. Very documentary-like. This isn't as stark as that, but it's not as... Not sentimental, but it isn't as melodramatic then as Greyhound.
Yeah.
It's not trying to do any kind of characterization.
Okay.
It's just a thing that happened, and this is how it happened. But I would recommend it. It was good. It's long, but it zips by.
Okay.
My next recommendation is something else on Netflix. It's called Lost Ollie. Have you heard of this?
I've not heard of this.
It's a little mini-series about a toy that wants to be reunited with his owner. So Toy Story vibes.
Yeah. Animated?
So live action, but the toys are animated.
Okay. Notice of the animated, or is it CG?
No, it's very well done. It's CG. It's CG. It's very, very well done.
Okay.
It integrates perfectly with the world.
Okay.
It's cute, but it deals with very dark themes. I think it's only like 5 episodes. It's not long at all. Tim Blake Nelson voices like his friend Toy, who might be a bit more sinister than he looks, because he's Tim Blake Nelson.
Yeah.
And there's a nice little twist at the end, which I will not give away.
Okay.
Feel it's important to say at this point. We've avoided it so far, but potential spoilers for everything that we're going to discuss.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I've got to say about that.
Okay.
Next is The Sandman, which is a Netflix show. Have you watched any of this?
No.
You won't like it. It's generally not my cup of tea. So it's based on the Neil Gaiman... I'm not sure if it's a novel or a graphic novel. I think it's just a novel. It's kind of American Godsy. It's,
Didn't see that either.
No, okay. But it's all these fantastical beings in conflict, essentially. Okay. And it's not my sort of thing, but the 5th episode is fantastic.
Did you say it was Netflix?
It's Netflix, yeah.
Netflix and their 5th episodes. We thought it was a Mike Flanagan trait. But
was it 6th? Oh, is it 5th in Midnight Mass?
Haunting of Hill House, it's 5 and 6.
Yes.
Midnight Mass, it's 5.
5, okay.
And I think... Bly Manor, I think it's 5th and 6th episode are sort of the big, like...
Is that the Black Woman's episode?
Yeah, that's when she's... Yeah, it's her feature episode, and then I think 6 is when it kind of reveals, this is sort of what's going on.
The woman that used to live in the house. Yeah? Is that the...
Oh, she might be the penultimate one.
I thought that was... I can't remember how many there were.
It's when you sort of find out why the children are acting strangely.
Yeah, the 5th episode, of course it's the best because it revolves around David Thewlis's character.
Oh, well, of course.
Almost literally, actually. He goes to this restaurant, this diner, American diner, and I can't remember exactly... Is it American, actually? He goes to a diner, and his presence there, he obviously plays like an otherworldly thing.
Yeah.
It inspires honesty in all the people in the diner. Like, they're just blatantly honest about their feelings to each other. And it just kind of devolves. Like, people confess their feelings to each other, people reject each other, secrets come out, and he's just kind of watching the whole thing as he, like, drinks his coffee.
Oh, right.
Just, like, unleashing this chaos. Yeah, he doesn't figure into the plot really at all. He's just kind of there.
Is this the, like... It's the Christopher Eccleston episodes in The Leftovers? Is it that kind of thing?
Yeah, it's that kind of thing. Yeah. Thewlis seems to now uniquely play shabby, bedraggled characters.
Yeah.
His hair's always a mess.
Maybe it's just because that's what he looks like now. So it's like...
It might be. Yeah,
I can't do anything else.
I feel like I've seen interviews where he just isn't trying to be presentable. Yeah, kind of messy hair. Like, he accentuates bad teeth.
Yeah.
It's post VM Varga.
I was going to say, I think Fargo started it. And then you had... What was the thing he was in with Olivia Colman, like, recently?
Yeah.
Not The Helicopters. What the fuck's it called?
The Helicopters?
It's a weird, like, title.
I don't know. It was Will Sharp, wasn't it? It was that about the couple.
Landscapers.
That's right.
I don't know where I got helicopters from, but I knew it wasn't like an obvious title.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of ending things. Yeah, that is all kind of a similar thing.
Yeah,
but it's fine because it's David Thewlis,
and he can still act. So
he can still act.
Fucking go for it, mate.
The Sandman's been very well received. It's just not my cup of tea, but I would recommend the 5th episode. It kind of works in isolation, so... Okay, next on the recommendation list, Norm Macdonald, Nothing Special. Have you watched this?
Oh, I've heard of this. I haven't seen it yet.
Watched it?
No.
I'm not going to give anything away.
I'm almost, like, not scared to, but it's like, once I've seen that, that's
there's
it.
Nothing else. But the backlog is still there to discover, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's still a lot, you know.
I suppose.
Yeah, I'm not going to give any of the jokes away. I'm not going, but it's a Norm Macdonald special, and it feels like one. It's done at home. He's doing it to his laptop,
right?
With no audience.
Oh, interesting.
Because I think the next day he was going in for surgery or something.
Does it have any like? Are there any moments which are kind of like they've taken on a certain resonance or poetry, like the fact that this came out after his death?
I think there are a couple of moments where he skirts around those themes.
Okay.
And then kind of laughs to himself. So there's like, oh, maybe, you know, he kind of knew this was his last album sort of thing.
Okay.
I think he was going in for surgery the next day and he told Netflix, I just want to get it in the bag in case anything happens or something. He didn't die in that surgery, but he died not long afterwards.
Yeah.
Watch it. I'm not going to do any of his jokes. So
no, of course not.
Norm Macdonald, Nothing Special.
Got it.
Next. What is a woman?
Is that...
It's not rhetorical.
No?
No. Well, it's not in the case of this documentary, which comes from Daily Wire.
Ooh!
Yeah, so it's a Daily Wire documentary. It's their first, I think, feature-length documentary. Matt something. I can't remember his surname. He's one of the Daily Wire
commentators. Is it not written down on your 9 sheets of paper you've got in front of you?
Don't exaggerate, I have 6.
Oh, there you go then. Yeah. Only 6 sheets of A4 paper that are full.
Maybe I thought at the time that I'd remember it. Matt... It will come to me.
Okay.
But he's one of like the 4 Daily Wire mainstays.
Okay.
Commentators. He wrote the book that was Reasons to Vote. No, that was Michael Knowles. That's completely wrong. He wrote a children's book that was about transgenderism. That's like, you know, Otto thinks he's a walrus and Mummy says, no, you're not.
Oh, right. Right, okay.
Okay, so it's basically him travelling around America trying to find the answer to the question, what is a woman? And he interviews various doctors and trans activists and all that sort of thing. And professors. It's obviously coming from a certain perspective, but not heavy-handedly. And there are plenty of documentaries on the flip side, so I don't see why... It's like an equal time issue.
Okay.
The actual interviews aren't hostile. He's not being like, I'm conservative and this is what I think. He literally just asks some questions. What is a woman? It is scary how few people can answer that question. Like, even people who are ideologically aligned with him do get fairly questioned. He will play devil's advocate.
Okay.
But, you know, what about this? It does have a sense of humour that undergirds the film. Like, he makes it clear what he thinks. I found out that anywhere between 1 in 30,000 and 1 in 100,000 people are trans.
Okay.
So that's the actual number.
Right.
So the massive upsurge, uptick, proliferation of news stories about trans people, it's not reflective of a genuinely novel phenomenon. I think the claims that people are is a novel phenomenon. But this is such a marginal issue. I'm not saying it's not important to the people it affects, but it is such a marginal issue that the frequency with which we talk about it is kind of absurd.
Is it a case of... I take what you're saying, that there aren't many at the moment. In the grand scheme of things, there aren't that many at the moment. But is it a case of, like, even though there aren't many now, there were so few before that percentage-wise... the population that are trans has grown so rapidly. Well, I think that it's like a case of like, right, well, they're multiplying at an incredible rate. We need to have these conversations now.
But then I think the argument would be they're not actually multiplying.
No.
It's people that are just cottoning onto a trend or jumping on a bandwagon.
Yeah, I didn't really know what word to use other than multiplying.
Well, it's a fad.
Okay.
It is a fad. Like, it is just unrealistic to conclude that the massive upsurge is the result of, oh, it's now more acceptable to be trans, so I can now be more open about it. And the idea that there's no social contagion aspect. Even people in the documentary who are broadly speaking pro-transitioning will, like 1 or 2 concede, there might be an element of social contagion. They downplay it, but it's obviously there.
Okay.
There's one really funny in the moment in the documentary where he's interviewing a politician and the guy is just evading all his questions and clearly getting uncomfortable. And the guy kind of unclips his mic and he gets up to walk off. And the main guy is like, I just came to find out what a woman is. And then you hear like an intern off camera just going, and you won't find out.
No, right.
And you're not going to find out. That's really funny.
I didn't get to that, but it's worth saying that like I attempted to watch this.
You attempted to watch it, yeah.
I couldn't sit through it.
Too uncomfortable, or
yeah, no shade to the documentary.
No,
based on what you've said, I'm inclined to agree with you.
Yeah.
Because the like half hour that I ended up watching is not unreflective of what you're saying the whole documentary is.
No,
he does seem fair. I don't know what it was. I just couldn't. I was just uncomfortable watching it.
Is it knowing you're watching interviews that could go off the rails? Is that what it is?
It could be that. It could just be like the moment before the jump scare where that like tension builds.
I think it's unbearable.
Yeah, it might be that. And I think what didn't help is in the portion that I watched, at least from what I remember, no one really got angry with him. There was always this kind of like passive aggressive, like I'm still trying to be nice to you, but I'm letting you know that you're wrong.
Right.
It only ever rose to that energy. And of course, that doesn't release the tension. So I think that's what it might have been.
It mostly only rises to that level. Like I said, there's that politician that walks off, and then there's one academic who kind of gets the gist of where it's going, and he's like, "You have 30 seconds to like correct yourself, or I'm walking away."
Yeah.
And he asks like, "Why are you asking these questions?" That gets a little bit heated, but that's the worst it gets. Really, I think people are mostly conscious of the fact that they're representing a certain viewpoint. So I'm not going to get up and punch him. Yeah, that'd be bad for the movie.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. I didn't watch this thing. I wasn't spoiling for a fight.
No, but the fact that there wasn't meant that it stayed at that kind of Fargo level of they keep smiling at me.
Yeah,
they're gonna put me in a wood chipper in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, the documentary's unlikely to convert people, but it should. Okay, it should convert people. You just seeing the interviewees squirm and tying themselves up in knots over the most basic questions.
Yeah.
And then since that documentary came out, the Tavistock Clinic has been closed in Britain. Okay. Not as a result of the documentary, but the result of, I think, 1,000 or more parents filing lawsuits against them. Like, you just put my kid through this instantly without, like, any questions, basically.
Yeah.
And I think it was maybe Peterson or someone a few years ago pointed out that lawsuits would incite the tide shift. Okay. And I think that may have been accurate.
Okay.
When these clinics have to start closing down, that's when the results are coming in. The ending's a little bit cringy.
Okay.
It's kind of a dramatic scene, not dramatic, but a scripted scene where he goes home to his wife, and she's like, "So did you find out?" And he's like, "Nah." And he says to her, "What is a woman?" She says, "It's an adult human female who needs help opening this jar." And he opens the jar, and he kind of smiles, and that's the end of it. That was a bit cringy, but she wasn't wrong.
Do you think that could have been? I agree with you that people probably wouldn't be converted based on this documentary alone. But do you think that runs the risk of, to those people, misselling the intention of the documentary? It's like, aha, see, it had this idea of women in gingham all along, in the kitchen, doing the sandwiches.
Kind of. I mean, there is a through line, like I said, where they kind of dramatise. He's like, I was getting more confused. And then it shows like a big, pinboard where he's got all these like papers and like strings, and
right.
Like trying to work out, and then he kind of like destroys it. So there are these dramatized, like that some documentaries do, and those are the weakest parts of it. But like I said, where it's coming from to begin with.
Yeah.
It's a Daily Wire documentary, and given that it is a Daily Wire documentary, it's not biased in that way. Like, he asks genuinely reasonable questions to people on both sides of the spectrum. There is one guy that I loved. I think he said like the mayor or someone came into his store and was now a woman or whatever, or well, in a wig, and so he mispronounced her, him, or whatever. And the guy asks him, "Well, how do you know you're a man? What makes you a man?" He's like, "I guess because I got a dick."
Right.
It's like, yeah, it's basically what it is.
Yeah.
So I liked it, and I would recommend it if you're not an ideologue.
Okay.
And my final recommendation in this quickfire session is Blackbird, which you have seen.
I've seen Blackbird.
Yes. Plot?
It's about this guy who gets arrested for...
Played by Taron Egerton for gun running and drugs? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, general criminality.
He's just a crim, yeah.
Yeah, just a crim. And he's presented with the opportunity by the FBI to forego his 10-year prison sentence that he's been given if he gets close to another prisoner and basically finds out whether this prisoner has killed people or not.
Yes.
Which is not easy because this guy... There's something up.
Yeah, he's a weirdo.
Yeah. He's got sideburns, and he's into Civil War reenactments, and he just like, he constantly seems like he doesn't quite know where he is.
He's like an alien. It's like, sometimes it's like he's communicating with something that's not there. Not literally, but like tuned into some weird frequency.
Yeah.
Other times it's like he's a child.
Which is sort of why there's such an ambiguity about whether he actually committed these crimes. Because on the one hand, he knows details that he's got no right knowing.
But he's also famous for confessing to things he hasn't done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's just like, even when he's like admitting to something, he does it in this kind of like non-committal way.
He does it in like a Norm Macdonald, Morrissey, I don't really know what's happening.
Yeah,
now
exactly,
way.
yeah.
Yeah, I love people like that. But like, and, artists in real life,
Yes.
not mass murder, not serial.
No, not this guy.
Yeah.
No.
I thought the two leads, good performances from both. I know you don't love Paul Walter Hauser. In general.
But he's doing something. That's doing
fits his
something good
talents.
here.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So he's. Yeah. I don't like it when he's just doing whatever he was doing in like Cruella and whatever shit he's been in before.
And Cobra Kai.
And Cobra Kai, where he's just.
He just sits there and is fat and gurns.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, come on now.
Yeah. It was Ray Liotta's final role. He's good.
Yeah, the third episode I think is dedicated to him because it coincided with his death.
So. Yeah. It's quite tragic, like final role, because the character is dying. I think.
He has a stroke in like the first episode, I think, and then he becomes more ill as the show carries on.
But it was kind of a nice send off, like in a way, an Irishman-y send off. Where now he's not the guy in Goodfellas; he's the father of the guy that's in prison.
Yeah,
and he's just this really human. I'll help you however I can. Like I love you, son. It was like a good role to end on.
Yeah.
It wasn't some schlocky B movie. Or
No, of course not.
You're in and out. There's not too much depth.
It's 6 episodes.
Yeah.
And it's wrapped up because it's based on a true story as well. So unless they start taking serious creative license going forward, there's no more story to tell.
No, that's it. Like I said, it doesn't go all that deep in the end, but it's a decent story, efficiently told. A bit like Black Phone. It's like, it is what it tells the story.
Yeah. I will say, I didn't like the look of this show. I
agree. It was too dark.
We need to come up with a word for it. I know we had board church before.
Yeah.
But it's beyond that because it's just like it sucks all the life and colour out of the image. For like no reason really. I know that it's supposed to be like, it's tonally like appropriate.
Yeah.
Because it's like a dark, mysterious show. But the payoff is that whether you're in prison in the middle of the night or in the desert in the middle of the day, the show has exactly the same colour palette.
I'm thinking either gloomcore or low vis.
Maybe.
Yeah, one of those two.
I kind of like Coward's Monochrome.
Coward's Monochrome?
Yeah.
Like Cowards.
Because we're in the process of watching Better Call Saul at the moment,
We are.
right? We'll have a review like whenever we finish it.
Yes,
we're not going to review it today.
No, but I wanted to mention that because it's finished now.
Yes, it has finished.
And
I'm catching up.
Yeah, we're on season 5, so probably the next episode.
So we will have a review for that, but not at the
of
moment.
the whole show.
Yeah. The black and white segments in that look gorgeous.
Yeah,
and I know
absolutely.
Better Call Saul is a gorgeous show anyway.
Yeah, high contrast is the thing, isn't it?
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
I feel like a show like this would look so much better if it was shot in black and white.
Yeah.
Because you have the full range of colour and contrast to work with without running the risk of the image being too saturated.
Yeah.
But they would never film it in black and white because people don't watch things in black and white.
Right.
So I think that's why I've gone with Coward's Monochrome because it's still like basically all the same colour anyway, but it is in colour, so it's like,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there are things like Capote that are similar where it's all very dark and it's very gloomy to look at.
Yeah.
But that does it really was it Arkansas?
It can be done well.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, it can be.
Yeah.
That's where it is done well. On like the Arkansas plains, where these murders took place and it's set in the 50s, and it's appropriate. This, it was a strange choice.
It feels more like a crutch than like it feels like they've just gone, well, make it like dark and moody and grim.
And that's the thing.
But the payoff is that it's not pleasant to look at.
It's pretty grim, yeah. I mean, the show isn't all that grim, given the subject matter.
No.
And it's quite like their relationship is really compelling. But yeah, while I acknowledged it was well put together, well written and well performed and all that, it's not fun to watch.
No.
Because it's
not even poorly shot. It's just the fact that
it just looks grim.
Yeah.
And, okay.
Yeah.
I kind of can't wait to leave. But it will win or will be nominated for awards, and you'll probably have forgotten about it in a few months.
Yeah.
But it's good when it's there.
Yeah.
That's the takeaway,
yeah,
I think.
I would agree.
Okay, those were all the recommendations.
Can I quickly throw one in?
Sure.
I know I haven't.
It would have to.
I know I haven't run it past pre-approval.
No.
But it's only because on the last episode I mentioned that I watched Cuphead Season 1.
Yes.
And Cuphead Season 2 has now come out and I've watched that.
Okay.
So
and you'd recommend it?
That's not a product of we've been gone for so long. Because part of the Cuphead 1 discussion
Okay.
was, isn't it weird that the second season is coming out so quickly after the first?
And now it's come out.
Okay. And it's more of the Cuphead show. It's not going to change. I don't think it's going to... Like, if you didn't enjoy the first season, I don't think it's going to change your mind.
Mm-hmm.
But if you did enjoy the first season, it seems like they're making efforts to improve it.
Okay.
So, like, there's more... I know that it's a neutral value, this whole idea of, like, oh, there's more stuff that they've adapted from the source material. There's more stuff there now. That's not necessarily a good thing.
Not in and of itself.
Yeah, but it's adapted well. It's either adapted faithfully or the creative changes they do make work to the benefit of the show.
Right.
And it seems to be a bit more, like, horror-y inflected.
Okay.
Like, that was kind of one of the things I said about the first one, is it felt really sanitized for kids, whereas in this one, there's a few episodes that seem to center around characters that are completely insane or are driven to madness, like Jack Torrance madness.
Okay.
You know? There's also, like, a random episode where a character out of nowhere does the Exorcist scurry, that's like a inverted spider.
Thing. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
So even if it's not like, oh, we can't have gambling and smoking and all the stuff that was in the game, at least it feels like, well, we can scare kids a little bit.
Okay.
So that's kind of nice. The only point I would say against it is it feels a bit more directionless than the first one.
Right.
Every episode is kind of episodic and doing its own thing. And the only time that the main villain of the show, the devil, shows up twice, and in the first episode he shows up to, which is like episode 8.
Right.
It's basically to end the overarching series plot.
Okay.
So the show is kind of directionless at the moment, and that feels like a point against it.
Okay.
In attempt to, like, look, we've got more Cuphead. They've also kind of lost direction.
Right.
But the cliffhanger going to season 3 seems like they might be correcting that.
Okay. So, resetting the board, sort of.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a recommendation from me. It's more Cuphead. It's still pretty good. It's still one of the best video game adaptations out there.
Okay. Now we're on to racks.
Yeah. now we're on to that bad shit.
Okay, so this is the rubbish, or at least not good.
Yeah.
So the first thing is Men, which you haven't seen, have you?
No, I might still watch it though.
Don't.
I know you've put it in this section, but I was excited by that trailer.
You're really not going to like it. So Men is about...
yeah, but I might though.
You won't, Jord.
Okay.
Trust me. You will enjoy elements of it. Let me do the review and
all
see
right.
what you think at the end of it.
I'm standing my ground. I thought you would have appreciated this.
It's about a woman played by Jessie Buckley whose husband commits suicide, whose abusive husband commits suicide.
Okay.
And then she goes away to a country village for a retreat to get away from everything. Rory Kinnear plays every other character. He plays the landlord and the policeman and the barman.
Very Anomalisa.
Very Anomalisa, and it's not the absurdity is baked into it. It's not like she's going, they all look the same. Like, it's without question that they all look the same.
Okay.
Jessie Buckley and Rory Kinnear are always value for money, but they're somewhat wasted. Because basically what happens is something weird is happening, all the men are weird, and it just goes into full-blown horror territory.
Okay.
And a lot of it's up for interpretation. It's very symbolic and imagistic, and less said the better, really.
Yeah.
Kinnear gets a lot to do, more than we've seen him doing really anything. But it's a shame that it's to little effect.
Yeah, it feels like this is really his
big breakout.
If you could put a film on a mantelpiece, this is what you'd put.
Yeah, exactly. It's excessively conceptual.
Okay.
The symbolism is very heavy-handed. Like, there's literally an apple tree, and he's like, "Ooh, don't pick apples from the tree."
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, it's in like the Mother camp. Mother. The Darren Aronofsky film.
Okay.
Where like he's God and she's Adam.
Yeah, okay.
He's Adam.
Initially, I was thinking, I'm thinking of Ending Things, which is obviously Jessie Buckley's also in as well. But the problem there is that it doesn't really commit to anything.
It's not as interminable as that.
Yeah. Whereas Mother is like very like overtly symbolic, and it's not even subtle symbolism.
It's disappearing up your own derriere symbolism.
Yeah.
It's quite nicely shot, but I expected more from Alex Garland.
Okay.
There's one thing I liked about it. Like I said, the performances are fine.
Yeah.
There's one thing I liked. There's very neat, even if it's this is the moral of the story monologue, that I think encapsulates the nature of misogyny.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do here is, if you don't want to watch the film, I'm just going to recite it so that it's the one good thing you're going to get.
Oh, right, okay.
So you don't have to bother watching it. If you do want to watch it, skip to the next chapter. So this is the monologue.
Okay.
I have pictured you. This is Rory Kinnear. I have pictured you. Legs open, vagina open, mouth open. I have decided that you are an expert in carnality. Someone who has explored all the things that they can do and have done to them. These things now exist in my mind. This is your power. This is the control that you exert. And then he quotes from a poem, which is Ulysses and the Siren by Samuel Daniel. I must be one that cannot win, yet lost were I not won, for beauty hath created been to undo or be undone. And I think that's misogyny in a neat little bundle for you right there.
Okay.
That whole thing of like, that's your power. I picture all this stuff about you and I can't have you.
Right.
And I think that's sort of it, you know?
Okay.
But give it a try if you wish.
Okay.
Next car train wreck is Not Okay. It's basically... it's a film called Not Okay.
It's not right.
It's not right.
It should be good.
It's about a young woman obsessed with social media, Instagram, TikTok, all that, who fakes a trip to Paris with Photoshop. Like, I'm going to Paris. And then there's a terror attack there. And everyone's like, oh, you okay? And she's like, shit. So she doubles down.
Oh, okay.
And pretends to a bit. Yeah, no, trust me. It's not as good as it sounds.
That's the problem. Like, all of these films you're not recommending so far have really, like...
Yeah, it's a good
premises
concept.
to grab you.
Yeah. The film starts with a disclaimer that says this film features an unlikable female protagonist. So you know that going in. And she is very unlikable.
Okay. That's not common, is it?
Oh, no. It's like a joke sort of thing. But also warning you that, like, you're not going to like this girl.
Okay.
Like I said, it's a semi-interesting idea. I concede that. And you'd think that disclaimer would end up being a bluff. It's not. It's a double bluff. She never does become sympathetic, but nor does anyone else in the film, which is the problem. You're meant to like all of the satellite characters.
Yeah.
She basically befriends this woman. She's a survivor of gun violence or something like that.
Right.
And she meets her in a meeting where she's going to, like, you know, make her story seem more credible. And you're really meant to like this girl and their friendship blooms or whatever. And then she's obviously betrayed. And she delivers this spoken word piece at the end to an audience about what the betrayal meant. And it's like, oh, fuck off. Right. It's just it's millennials. It's young people doing spoken word poetry on Instagram.
Okay.
And
do they speak like millennials?
Yeah,
as well?
no one's likable in the film. It's really annoying. And it may be a function of my generational bias, that generation being ours. But the dramatic climax is angry spoken word, and I don't give a shit.
Okay.
So that's rubbish. Next, I believe you've seen Prey.
I have. This is controversial, right? This being on the trash pile.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
What's it about?
Is it a spoiler?
Well, we've said there could be spoilers.
No, but I mean, generally speaking, is it a spoiler? I don't know whether it was part of the marketing or not. Prey is actually probably the most cleverly titled film we're going to discuss today.
Sure.
Because it's a Predator film.
Yeah, I think we knew that. I think everyone knew that, yeah.
Because, I don't know, the way the film conducts itself, it's almost as if you're not supposed to know that it's a Predator.
No, I'm pretty sure it was...
Until it reveals, oh shit, it's a Predator.
Yeah, I think that when the first trailer dropped, it was trailer for new Predator movie. I think we knew going in that it was... Yeah. Yeah, it's set in... I don't know what year it is, but it's Native American
1700s, Native America, yeah.
And a lone Predator comes to Earth and picks off the tribe, and the central character is this Native American girl who wants to be a hunter, but is expected to stay home and knit or whatever. And yeah, she faces off against it. That's basically it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the whole film.
It's an interesting idea, you know, like setting it back in the past. I like that.
Well, I believe that, because the Native Americans, they're Comanche?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not brushed up on Native American isms. But yeah, I believe that the original pitch for the film was that the whole thing was going to be filmed in Comanche.
Right.
And then the Disney-Fox merger happened, and then all of a sudden they weren't going to do it in Comanche anymore.
Okay.
Think of that what you will.
Do they do that thing where they kind of... It's like you go through the looking glass? And like they are speaking Comanche and then
I think that's their like get out. She says the first couple of lines in the film in Comanche, and then it suddenly switches to English, and it's like, oh, okay, so it's like we're understanding her in English, but she's actually speaking Comanche.
Yeah, I saw the film,
but it's like a hand
it's a cop out. I saw it relatively recently, but I think it was brought up on Red Letter Media, The Hunt for Red October.
Yes,
where they're speaking in Russian, and then there's a neat little trick, and like it converts to English. Okay, I see what.
Yeah, imagine that, but not done not as well.
But not exactly. It could have easily been an irritating feminist tract. It's not. No. It's partly a feminist tract, but it's not an irritating one.
It's exactly that. It's all about her breaking out of her expected gender role.
Yes, but it's done in an appropriate fashion, I thought. I like that she uses her wiles and the skills that she's picked up as a girl to emerge victorious, like her knowledge of plants and all that sort of thing. And the CGI is atrocious. And that's all I've got to say about Prey.
Shocking. Like, I understand that it's a lower budget Predator film.
Yeah.
But it's a Predator film. Could you not splash out on the CG a little bit? Especially if it's like, right, the Predator's going to be invisible for like 90% of the film. So for the 10% he's there, can we like spend some money on him, please?
And the lead actress is probably the highest profile Native American actress, but she's not a star. Like, she's in Legion.
Yeah.
And is she in Fargo? No, she's not in Fargo. But yeah, she's popped up in a couple of things. She's not by no means a star. So it's like, so all the money goes to the CG.
Yeah, and yet I didn't buy her for a second as a woman from that period of time.
Oh, no, she looks like a millennial.
I think if I were to summarise the entire film in one word, it would be inauthentic.
Sure.
I just didn't buy it for a second. I know it sounds silly because, like, it's a Predator on Earth. What's the like? It's just like the period of time doesn't feel...
No, it's like moccasin chic. Isn't it? That's like it's like a catalogue's version of it.
Everyone looks like they're in costume.
Yeah.
It looks like they're just filming in like woodlands as opposed to, I guess this is what it would have been like back then.
Yeah.
And none of the animals, as you say, the CGI is so terrible, you don't believe any of the animals are actually there. So
and considering it's supposed to be so grounded in that historic setting, and it's all about hunting, when the animals are clearly the product of modern day technology, it kind of ruins the whole illusion, doesn't it?
And it's got that Hollywood slickness to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel grounded in any way, and it's not real blood.
It's not real blood.
What are you doing? Yeah. It's a fucking slasher film.
It's had overwhelmingly positive reviews.
Yeah.
And we talked about it, and I think that is the result of people that I can't give it a bad review. It's fine, and that counts towards the positive reception.
Yeah, like, it's got 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, but those 90% are all 6 out of 10s.
Yeah, you're talking, it's like 96 or something. It's like, it's really high.
It's very high, yeah. I think it's that, and I think it's also like, well, even if this film itself is like whatever, it's a neat direction to take the franchise in, so I don't want this to get buried in the pile.
No, and that's the thing, it's not a bad film, it's just not that good.
No.
Like, when it comes down to it.
It's the most film that ever filmed. It's just so like...
It's middle of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so like, this script could have come from anywhere and anyone, and just put it there and like, we'll fill in the blanks.
Yeah. So make of that what you will.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, next, I think you've also seen... Lightyear.
Oh yeah, I've also seen Lightyear.
Right, I can't even remember it. I just remember not liking it. Utterly disposable. I needn't remember it.
You needn't remember it. I mean, Disney films, most Disney films, they are just completely palatable, completely consumable. You can sit there, you can watch one, and you can not hate your time. But I would consider the film a complete failure of its concept.
Entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't believe that it was a film that came out in the 90s, which is when it's set.
No.
Even if it's not set in the 90s, the concept, the conceit of the film is that this film came out in the 90s.
Yeah, the film you're watching.
I don't believe that for a second.
No.
Not just like... Because people have made a big thing out of the fact that like, the CG looked really good in the 90s, apparently, in the Toy Story universe.
Right.
It's not that. It just doesn't feel like a film from the 90s.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't have that energy or that like...
It has a modern sensibility as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't believe that Andy would have wanted a Buzz Lightyear toy based on this film.
It feels too adult for...
it does.
For a child of that age.
It feels like a family-friendly version of like Life or something, or the Cloverfield Paradox, where it's like designed for older audiences.
Yeah, like older kids.
Yeah.
But not someone as young as he was.
Yeah, he definitely wouldn't want a Buzz. If anything, he would have wanted the toy of the cat.
Right.
The socks... The cat.
Yeah.
You would have wanted that, not Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah.
And it's not even faithful to the Buzz Lightyear lore we already know.
No.
Makes a big spoiler. Makes a big change with Zurg, the main villain. He's not Buzz's father anymore. He's Buzz.
That's right.
Time travel. I don't know if time travel was ever a part of it, but like the jetpack, for example, Buzz's famous jetpack, that's like a third act. He uses it once to like save the day.
Yeah.
It's not like an integral part of his toolkit.
No.
Just like loads of stuff that they get wrong. And I don't know. I wouldn't have thought that it would have been that hard to make a Buzz Lightyear film that was faithful to what we know Buzz Lightyear to be.
No, there's quite a lot there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like I said, all I remember is not being sucked into it ever at any point.
No.
It just happened in front of me.
Yeah. Pretty much the same.
And the animation's boring.
It is, yeah. That's the thing. It could at least, like, if you're not even going to be a successful realization of your own concept, you could at least be fun, and it's just not fun.
No. It's nothing.
Yeah.
Definitely on the trash pile.
Yes.
Okay, very quickly, Obi-Wan Kenobi, which you haven't.
Oh right, no, I haven't seen Obi-Wan Kenobi.
It's Star Wars. It's more Star Wars. It's more.
Is it
more
good Star Wars or bad Star Wars? If indeed there is a distinction anymore.
Here are the Star Wars things I like.
Okay.
Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Okay.
So Obi-Wan Kenobi.
No, you liked Rogue One, didn't you?
I did at the time. I don't think I would anymore.
Okay.
And the original trilogy. You know, yeah, Empire is like objectively the best Star Wars film. I know people love them. It's just, I never got it. I liked it when I was really young, yes. Okay. But now it's goofy and it's not for me. Star Wars just isn't for me. Damon Lindelof, there was a bit of a controversy because he made a comment about kind of particularly Marvel films, but Disney in general.
Yeah.
Like maybe don't release so many so that they're special when they do come out.
Yeah.
And then I think Mark Ruffalo... Like, yeah, he said about Marvel films, because then Mark Ruffalo said, oh, no, but at least, like, every Star Wars film or property, it's exactly the same thing.
I like Mark Ruffalo, but I feel like he's always the first one to pipe up when Marvel's under attack, quote-unquote.
I can like him as an actor. I hate him.
Okay.
I hate him.
It's really funny, because you feel the same about Lindelof, right? Love him as a writer, but can't stand him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like Lindelof more than I like Ruffalo.
Okay.
But, yeah, he said, well, every Star Wars thing, you're getting exactly the same thing. At least Marvel, we do comedy, we do sci-fi, that sort of thing.
Yeah. You have to do them well, though.
Well, that's the thing, defending Marvel, the defense of Marvel aside, he's not wrong about Star Wars. It is always the same thing.
Yeah, it's the
same arc, the same
canon, isn't it?
That's fine, same canon's fine, but they always play out exactly the same way.
It's just
especially now.
It's exhausting, especially since I think so much now is happening in that gap between film 3 and 4. And I know that's like a decent chunk of time.
But yeah.
But it's just so
fill it with concrete.
Yeah, exactly. It's space, right, okay, so this is happening here and this is happening then, and it's just like doesn't feel contrived yet. But yeah, it does feel like it's starting to pack itself too tightly.
Yeah.
I don't even like Star Wars. I'm feeling that,
Yeah, too much. Okay, and finally, which you have seen, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. I remember little, so I'll say generally you take it away. All I will add is that it won the Emmy for Outstanding Made for Television Movie.
Well, that's just not okay, is it?
Its competition wasn't that great, but I'm sure there were things that weren't nominated that are far superior.
I mean, what I will say is this. It's not a film that I like at all. But it's the best film of 2022 to have Sonic the Hedgehog in it.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, I didn't watch it because of that.
No, of course. Yeah.
I was going to watch this anyway, even though I fucking hate Andy Samberg. I hate him more with every day.
Yeah, I don't like him.
I don't like... There's stuff he's done that I like. He's the worst thing about Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But, there's some Lonely Island stuff which I do like. And, what was it? The time travel thing from, last year, a couple of years ago.
Yeah. God, I can't even remember the name of it. Yeah, the thing with Kristen Milioti.
Something Shoals or something... It's like
Palm Springs.
Palm Springs, that's it.
Yeah.
That was good.
And
he's Andy Samberg in that.
Yeah.
But he's just, he's not funny. He's just...
Generally speaking, he's not.
He seems to...
He always kind of does that sort of gurning, that
yeah. That was weird, wasn't it? And then just explains...
God, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So
that bit from Brooklyn Nine-Nine that I've told you about before, where he's having a genuine heartfelt moment with the captain, and then he interrupts himself and goes, "Aren't you proud of me for being serious for 20 seconds?" Yeah.
I mean,
no, I'm not proud of you.
Gotta blame the writers.
Fucking play a character, do a thing.
I blame the writers though.
Stop just telling me what the comedy is and actually put comedy into it.
Well, the worst thing about Brooklyn Nine-Nine was when they did the serious episode where his wife or girlfriend, I can't remember what she is at that point, there's a character in it that oh no, I don't know if the character's actually in it. But she was kind of sexually, not assaulted, but the guy was like, oh, if you suck my dick, you'll have a career. And she's like, oh no. And then she tells Andy Samberg, and he's teary-eyed, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I'm like, fuck off, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I hate it when the comic actor's like...
I can also act as well, guys.
Well, no, they're supposed to be you. They're supposed to be you in that scene, and they're like, oh, that's so terrible. I'm like, oh, get a fucking grip.
But that's what I don't like about it, because that's the point that I've made before, hasn't it? Comedy like that, and people who deliver comedy like that, they feel like they're trying to be you.
Yeah.
As in, you, the audience member, watching the thing.
Oh my God, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not me.
You've taken my reaction away from me. I've got nothing to do now.
Yes.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine could just, exist over there, and it doesn't need me, because Andy Samberg is doing my job for me.
Right.
I fucking hate that. And Chip and Dale is just as bad, where it's It's just, like, it's the type of film that I think a few years ago maybe, I'll give myself some credit,
okay.
I would have really, really liked.
Yeah.
Because it's, like, high concept, it's, like, it's set in Hollywood, and they're doing that thing where it's, like...
postmodern irreverent.
Yeah, like...
Lego movie.
Like, with all the reboots that are happening, I got the CGI surgery, and we're going to the literal uncanny valley that exists in the thing. But it just... That
might have been... I remember that moment and thinking, oh, no.
Yeah.
That's just... Post-Lego movie, where everything's trying to do that.
Yeah.
It's very hard to pull off. Spider-Man does it perfectly into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
But no, it's like we're literally going to the uncanny valley. Oh, God.
It just pushes it too far.
Yeah, way too far.
Just way too far. Like, the one thing that I remember liking about it was the mixture of animation styles.
Yes.
It's kind of nice.
That's fair, yeah.
I mean, the 2D animation is not genuine 2D animation, and I found out that the Muppet characters are all CG, which is a bit disappointing.
Oh, right, okay.
But, yeah, they have Muppet characters, they have quote-unquote 2D animated characters, they have full-blown 3D CGI, they have stop-motion characters, and the stop-motion character... His fight sequence even kind of like revolves around the fact that he's stop motion. He's like taking himself apart and like using bits of him as a weapon, and like there's some creativity there which is to be enjoyed.
Well, there's just that much postmodernism that you're going to have a few kind of funny ideas, or
Yeah, exactly.
But on the whole, like I said, I don't remember it. I don't even remember it.
Yeah, it hasn't stood the test of time. And this is like, we put this on the list because like, oh, this is so obviously a film we would have talked about at the time it came out.
Yeah.
But now that a couple of months has passed, there's really nothing.
Definitely not. A lot of these could have been full-blown film reviews.
Yeah.
But
I guess the only thing that's like worth bringing up, just as like an acknowledgement, is the whole thing with the main villain.
Right.
Because the main villain of the film is a grown-up Peter Pan.
That's right.
And people were quick to point out that there's a sort of uncomfortable irony to that. Because the reason that grown-up Peter Pan is like kidnapping cartoon characters and putting them in like knockoff DVD versions of their own films is because once he started to grow up, his career ended.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, you're the boy that never grows up and you've grown up, so your career's over, mate, basically.
Yeah.
And the real-life voice actor for the animated... I'm pretty sure it was the animated Peter Pan. Same thing happened to him. Like, he died in his 20s or his 30s homeless.
Right.
Because his career ended so quickly. And people were like, does the film know about this?
Yeah.
Because Peter Pan wasn't the original villain. I forget who the original villain was. This was something that was changed like as they were filming. So yeah, I don't know whether that's an accident.
I don't think
or just really unfortunate.
It's such an obvious thing, isn't it? Like, oh, he did grow up. And what happened?
Yeah, that's the thing. As a premise for a villain, it's like, oh, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
But the fact that it came from Disney as well. I know it's Andy Samberg's baby, or at least he had a big part in it. They had a big part in it, the Lonely Island Bunch. But the fact that Disney have like released it and they haven't acknowledged it.
No,
though typical Disney, it's a bit like maybe
it's just like, awkward.
Yeah.
I mean, like awkward. Like I hate Disney, but I don't think they knew about it and callously thought, oh fuck it, we'll do it anyway.
Yeah,
they just didn't know. They just didn't do their due diligence.
No.
That's it. Jord. We're 20 minutes over. Already.
Yeah, I know we're already over thing, but there is one more.
Aria,
because I know you've seen it as well.
Yeah.
Which I don't recommend in the slightest.
Okay.
Man vs. Bee.
Oh no, not at all.
it's such a...
No, it's terrible.
Rowan Atkinson's return to physical comedy. He's basically playing Mr. Bean without playing Mr. Bean. Like, it's that type of thing where it's just, here's Rowan Atkinson in a place doing physical comedy. Laugh!
Yeah. With a CGI bee.
There's like a moment in the show that for me encapsulated everything that was wrong with it. And that's in whatever episode it's from, where the bee gets trapped in the piano.
Yeah.
And you go, I am familiar with physical comedy. This is going to be a pastiche of the Tom and Jerry episode where Jerry's trapped in the piano, or the Bugs Bunny one where it's like a similar thing. And Rowan Atkinson touches an iPad next to the piano and makes the piano perform the piece itself, and he just walks away looking smug.
Yeah,
that's the show in a nutshell for me.
I agree, and I think that would have been considered the joke. It's a red herring that they set up.
But I'm here.
It's a bluff.
I'm here for the physical comedy, and you've just robbed me of that.
I know, but that's the joke, innit?
No,
I know.
No, this is the whole fucking point of the show.
Yeah. No, it was rubbish.
Yeah,
let's hope it doesn't come back for a second season.
Crap. Oh, it probably is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it one of the, will it be a bee again, or is it one of those shows where it's like, it's man versus spider?
It'll be, my guess is, because it was originally called something else, and Netflix wanted them to call it man versus bee. My guess is for longevity. If it gets picked up for a second season, it can be man versus, train or whatever.
Yeah. What's that? What's Rowan Atkinson have to deal with a train in his house?
Yeah. Loco. Right, that's all the racks and racks.
Cool.
There we now have tidbits.
Tidbits?
Tidbits.
Go.
Okay, Liam Neeson popped up in Atlanta.
How long ago was this?
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah.
Season 3. Season 4's coming back. Is back in the end of this month.
Right.
Basically, a character wanders... They're in Amsterdam. A character wanders into a bar, black character, and Liam Neeson's there drinking. He's like, hey, you're Liam Neeson. He's like, yeah. He says, oh, I really like the Taken films. Oh, thanks. Then Liam Neeson says, oh, you know, the whole thing with Liam Neeson where he admitted that he wanted to... He went out once after his friend was raped by a black man. He went out with a kosh, hoping to be, you know, someone to start a fight with him so he could beat a black guy, any black guy.
Okay.
Instrumental violence. And he said it as a way of like, I can't believe I was that guy that thought that, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
When I was a young man. And he says to the guy, I want to apologise to your people. You know, I thought I was being honest and I thought people would understand, but, you know.
Hang on. Was Liam Neeson playing himself?
Yeah, playing himself. Liam Neeson as Liam Neeson.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So I apologise to your, you know, to your people, basically. And the guy's like, oh, I still love Taken, you know, like, no hard feelings, I get it. As long as you don't hate black people. And Liam Neeson says, oh, no, I do hate black people. He goes, what? He says, yeah, I hate you now because you set out to destroy me and ruin my career.
Right.
And then basically the whole punchline is like, the guy says to him, you didn't learn anything from your experience? And Liam Neeson's like, that's the great thing about being white, we don't have to learn anything. And he walks off.
Oh, okay.
And I just couldn't believe that he agreed to do it. I just could not believe that he agreed to do it.
I mean, what's he doing at the moment?
Doesn't matter.
Ice Road?
Yeah, but you're not
fucking
a cameo in Atlanta is not
Unknown's
like,
a while ago, isn't it?
Oh, like a decade?
There's another one. There's another one of those recently where it's like, oh, he's a guy that doesn't know who he is.
I don't even notice those films anymore. But yeah, he's always in them. No, I don't think he's struggling for work. This is like a artistic choice. Because I'll be in Atlanta and it'll be like a commentary. But the fact he's playing himself and just the disgusting nature of that message.
I don't know whether to respect it in a way. Like, they didn't even go through the pretense of like, oh, it's Liam Neeson playing a character that starkly resembles Liam Neeson in the situation he described.
Obviously, he's playing Liam Neeson as a fictionalized version of himself.
Yeah.
But people watching it aren't going to...
But if you don't know the real story of the real Liam Neeson, this isn't going to mean anything to you.
And don't get me wrong, I don't watch it and think, oh, wow, like, they've cast him as this guy, as himself, and that's like what he really thinks of what Liam Neeson... It's obviously, it's trying to make a point about, oh, he could have been that guy or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just thought, why would you agree to do that? And not because, oh, it might tarnish your career, because I'm playing a fictionalized version of myself, you know?
Yeah.
It's like being John Malkovich. It's more like, how could you agree with that? How could you agree with that message? That, oh, that's the thing about being white, you know? You don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was disgusting, frankly. And Atlanta, there are moments of great artistry and great ideas and everything, but the race stuff is just fucking disgusting. It is.
Right.
So I just wanted to say that.
Okay.
Speaking of which, Nushuti Gatwa is...
it has been a while since we recorded,
it
hasn't
really
it?
has.
Okay, yeah, alright.
Playing the Doctor, isn't it?
He's playing the 14th Doctor, played by Ncuti Gatwa.
Yeah.
Is it Ncuti or Ncuti?
I think it's like Ncuti.
Ncuti.
I don't know.
Okay. How long did it take? Because it was announced... Weird, it was like announced as they were at the Brit Awards or something? Or the BAFTAs?
There was some awards, yeah. Because Russell T Davies was there
Both
as
of
well.
them were there. Russell T Davies and Ncuti were there. Apologies if I'm getting it wrong. I'll sort it out later.
Yeah. Educate yourself.
Yes. And yeah, so like when they were on the red carpet, everyone was just saying, so you're Doctor Who now? And he was like, yeah.
Yeah.
How long did it take for him to bring up
Gay and black?
Being a minority?
Oh, I don't know.
We timed it, didn't we?
I think we did.
Because there was like an interview, it was like first reactions from Ncuti Gatwa about like the news being released. And within, I'm not exaggerating, within like 80 seconds of the interview starting, he was like, yeah, because for me, the Doctor represented, minorities and like people who were not like, not like the in crowd, as it were. And so it's nice for me to now be able to like channel that and represent that. It's just like, well, if he represented that to you when he was played by a white guy...
Yeah, it doesn't need to be the black guy.
Why are we making such a big deal of the fact that he's now not a white... Oh, finally he's not a white guy.
I think this whole narrative about, we need more people on TV... We're not arguing against diverse people on television.
No, of course not.
But this argument, it's good for black kids to see black people and blah, 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 blah. And I'm not black. Maybe, if you are...
have you seen the reactions of young black girls seeing that Ariel is now black?
No, we'll come to that in a second, though.
No, that's basically it. It's just them going, look, Mom, she's like me.
Okay.
It's just compilations of that.
Okay, I don't buy it. And maybe if you are a minority in a culture, it has some...
Well, that is an idea that exists within that culture. It's just the question is whether that idea has come from them.
I was going to say, I can only speak for myself.
Yeah.
And say that never ever did I watch things as a child and go, oh yeah, they're like me, they're white. And maybe because most people are white, you kind of take it for granted and you don't think about it.
That would be the counter-argument, yeah.
But then I would say there were characters that were black and I had that exact same feeling. And like I said, I could be way off. Maybe like kids seeing black, oh yeah, I could do that. But like you said, he made that point of, you already thought that about the character. And it's not like, oh, don't make him black then. Sure, there's nothing wrong with the Doctor being black. But it's like, you don't need to do that then. It's not a necessity.
I mean, I hate this kind of like...
That we even have to think about it.
Yeah, exactly. Because it ties in, for me anyway, it ties in with my whole thing about if you're doing like a CG reboot of like a character that's not human, they have to have a human companion to make them more relatable.
Right.
It's like, no, I can relate to someone that isn't human.
Anthropomorphized.
I can relate to Sonic. I can relate to Bumblebee. I don't need fucking, what's her face? Not Meghan Trainor. What's the woman in Haley Steinfeld?
Yeah.
I don't need Haley Steinfeld to make Bumblebee relatable for me.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the same thing with this. It's like, well, I don't need this character to be the same race as me for me to get them.
I like they use that comparison. But
I think it's the same thinking. It's this idea that if this person if this person isn't me, if this person doesn't fit in the same groups as me, I can't connect with them.
No, broadly speaking, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I at least understand the wisdom of... I don't agree with it, but that lack of confidence of going, are people going to relate to a robot car? We should put a human in there. I can at least understand that.
Could you not just write it well, please?
No, I agree, but do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I at least get that, whereas I don't get, maybe we should make the character white so people would relate. That is racist. Like, whereas... like aliens and all that, like, no, we have a human companion because that's who the audience is going to relate to. I at least understand that, and I think increasingly you see that less and less.
Yeah,
they are understanding that, oh no, we just anthropomorphize, we make the thing relatable, or we make the animal relatable. That's a good thing. But no, I the idea of going, oh, we should make them white or black because that's how black people relate. And what kind of message is it? Say, oh, you should relate to this Doctor because he's black. Yeah, that's horrible.
It's asking so little of your audience. It's like, look, we've got you one of your own. You'll get it now.
Yeah, you
right?
like it now.
You'll watch it
it's
now.
For you.
Right?
It is pure tokenism.
It's condescending, frankly.
Oh, it's
I think so anyway. I mean, I don't want to diminish.
No, it is condescending.
If there are genuine people out there who are like, oh, I'll now be able to get into Doctor Who, they're like, okay. But I think it's personally, I think I would be uncomfortable making that decision if I was a producer because I would think it condescending.
I'm sure there is an element of, if you're black and the main character is black, it is a slightly different dynamic, a slightly different relationship. However, I refuse to believe that black people can't relate to white characters.
Yeah.
That, non-racist white character, normal white people. What are we saying? That is true segregation. So, but we'll see. Basically, but I am worried about the gay thing more than the black thing. To be honest,
that is.
Should qualify what I mean. Not. There's no reason that. Well, actually, there is a reason the Doctor can't be gay, because the Doctor as Jodie Whittaker being gay makes sense. Actually, because if the Doctor is attracted to women, then if the Doctor is a woman, then she would still be attracted to women. If the Doctor was a man, wouldn't be attracted to men.
I guess the counter-argument would be, well, with every change of the Doctor comes a change in personality.
Not that much. That much.
That's the thing. There are constants to the character that should remain. I don't imagine a lot of people are going to say that his or her sexuality is one of them. It's like, oh no, they must love women, whatever form they take.
But that's... So when the Doctor changed from Capaldi to Whittaker...
Yes.
That
is the timeline, yeah.
Did it go from being... Oh, it's the same fundamental personality, but there are some differences. And that's what happened. So when it changed to being a woman in aspect, then the attraction was still the same. Or did it turn from a straight man into a gay woman? Like, was there a constancy of attraction, or did it change into a woman that is gay?
Yeah.
And I would say surely it's the former. Like, how much does the Doctor change? If who they're attracted to changes.
Well,
because what they're going to say...
The third Doctor knew karate, Sam.
Well, that's different though, isn't it? Like, the Doctor will either be gay in this upcoming iteration...
Oh, almost certainly, right?
Or pan/bi, which I think is more likely.
Okay.
Because I don't think they would say, oh yeah, this Doctor never loved River, what's her face? Song.
Even you watched it. You watched all of it, Sam.
Yeah, exactly, and therefore it's now all a big blur, a meaningless blur. So we'll see.
Yeah, just in terms of like his performance, I haven't seen... Is it Sex Education he's from?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so I don't know if he's any good.
He's annoying.
Okay.
But everyone loves him in it.
Okay. He's quite a small chap, small framed.
He's diminutive, yes.
So I guess the pressure will be on him to kind of bring the presence of the Doctor to his performance. But like, I'm not going to complain about the fact that he's like, they've picked this like nobody, this guy that's kind of out of nowhere. Like he's in one thing that's good.
Well, that's the thing.
Because like Matt Smith came from nowhere.
He's basically in one thing, but it's a massive thing.
Yeah.
Everyone watches Sex Education.
Yeah.
And he's the kind of fan favourite character in it.
So yeah, like it is generally like a wait and see.
Yeah.
But I'm already kind of worried in a couple of things, and I hope that like whatever footage they release of him in the lead up to the new season will quash that.
Well, Russell T Davies has said, "I'm not going to suddenly stop writing about gay issues and gay characters."
No,
and then you go, "But you did the first time."
That's the thing. He didn't even stop. He just he did it well.
Right.
It was unintrusive, and it worked. Mm. Like, as a young kid watching Doctor Who, I wasn't like, God, this is an incredibly gay show. Yeah. It was like, I enjoyed the characters.
There just is something different about writing gay people in the 90s and noughties and writing gay people in the 20s. There just is. It's a whole different thing now.
I refer you back to that line from, I think it's the Shakespeare Code, where Martha... I know this is race and not sexuality, but when they're like in the 1500s and Martha's walking through 1500s England and she's like... I'm black. Is this going to be a problem? And the Doctor's like, well, I'm not even human.
Right.
Just walk around like you own the place and you'll be fine.
Yeah. Done.
Like, yeah. I imagine that a writer and the producers would be less inclined to have that kind of brevity surrounding like race or issues now.
No.
And I'm all right with like an episode or something dedicated to that, but it's just like the worry that like, oh, this is going to be the show, isn't it?
Yeah. And I'm sorry, but Doctor Who is a show for children. I'm not saying it's a children's show, we've discussed this many times. It's a family show, but children are the audience for it, primarily. It shouldn't be dealing with this stuff. And I'm not saying like, oh, kids shouldn't know about gay people. I don't mean it like that. But they shouldn't really have to think about gay issues, as Russell T Davies has said. Anything with sexuality. I don't want kids having to do anything with sexuality.
Yeah, no, I kind of like, I don't have a problem with them like being introduced to the idea of like, oh, homosexuality is a thing that you'll encounter as you grow up.
And it's okay.
But yeah, like proper like gay issues, maybe that's like running before we can walk.
Well, also, it's Doctor Who.
Yeah.
It's not the place. It's not the place. He has written like 6 shows about the gay experience. Doctor Who...
Is it not out of your system yet, Russell
Doctor Who doesn't have to be one of them. And that's fine. If you're gay and all you want to write about is gay issues, that's fine. I had a lecturer who that's the only thing he wrote about. Yeah. Whatever. Fine. It's very interesting. That was sarcasm. That's fine. But not Doctor Who. Just do another show. All the other shows you've done. Anyway, we'll see.
We'll see.
Okay, we had the Depp v. Heard trial.
Yeah, that was a whole thing that happened.
I mean, like, if we'd been recording on a more frequent basis, we might have gone into the minutiae of it. I think the takeaway is you never know the truth of what happens in a marriage.
No.
From the evidence at hand, Johnny Depp can be quite unpleasant, and Amber Heard is deeply, deeply unpleasant.
Yes.
It's hard to see her working again anytime soon. I think his future remains unclear, but I can see him clawing his way back.
Well, I know that, like... Because this would have been the benefit of doing it on a week-by-week basis. Well, it was sort of like a gift and a curse, really, because... For a long time, her role in Aquaman 2 had been cut down to 10 minutes.
And now it's
gone.
But
they point blank refused to cut her entirely.
Oh, right.
And now, after the trial, she's gone.
Yeah.
They're in a bit of a pickle at the moment, aren't they, DC?
Between her and Ezra Miller.
They've cut her from Aquaman. They don't know what they're going to do with The Flash at the moment. Like whether they're going to cancel it outright or reshoot it without the main character. And, of course, you've got the whole Batgirl thing as well, where they can Batgirl outright.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not looking good over there at the moment.
Oh, do you remember that when the filmmakers, it was like the in memoriam for the film?
Yeah,
and they said something
that
like,
was really weird. Because
what was it?
My first exposure to that, Rotten Tomatoes retweeted it or like reposted it on Facebook, and I thought it was from Rotten Tomatoes.
Right.
I was like, I don't know if this is Rotten Tomatoes' place to like mourn the loss of a film.
Yeah. But no, what did they say? They said something like, either like Inshallah, I think they said, or Allah. I don't think they said Allahu Akbar.
No, they didn't say that.
Inshallah. So imagine someone saying God willing. Like, oh, well, that's outdated. You can't, there's no place for God. But if it's Inshallah, cultural diversity.
Well, that's what the film was good. Well, I don't know.
It was, wasn't it? It was. But of course it was.
Maybe give them some credit. It's not as if they did like another like a popular superhero thing around the time that was only Muslim.
We'll get to that.
But yeah, that was a bit of a disaster over there. But yeah, Amber Heard, don't like her. Johnny Depp, a lot of respect for him.
Yep.
And the people in his life. Who's his friend?
Oh, I like the friend a lot.
The friend that
the
was
artist
like,
friend.
Yeah, the artist friend that Johnny Depp has just like poured charity onto over his life.
Yeah.
And he was just sitting on the stand and they were like, so, does Johnny Depp drink? And he's like, oh yeah, we drink.
Yeah.
We take drugs, we fucking...
Have you ever seen him do drugs? Yeah, I partake.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. I love that guy.
Like just there for his friends, being totally honest, but like
I'm just
not
upset. Like I can't believe he's been dragged through this
as well. Yeah, like on the stand, just being like, "This is disgusting what you're putting him through."
Yeah. And I know she's lying. And
yeah,
and she is. It's not a feminist issue. She's lying.
It's just so like like her entire presence on the stand was just so
insincere.
Obvious. Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah,
she's constantly looking at the jury.
Yeah. Pleading with them.
Yeah, like, look, I'm speaking to you.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to them, I'm talking to you.
Yeah, it's the crying and the bee and the dog and all that.
Acting.
Yeah.
The whole time she was acting, and not even well, because she can't act.
And that's the thing, everyone says, oh, we never really know. We know she lied about a lot. Like, we know definitively she lied about a lot of things.
And we know, at least from my perspective, we know that she doesn't come across as likable as Johnny Depp did.
No. And that's the thing, like, that is, if you can't it can work against you. Like they say, the reason Kennedy got elected over Nixon, a large part of it was because they did a TV interview and Nixon was sweating and you could see like the sweat on his lip, and that's just the way it goes. And it's if you're a victim of whatever, you might appear a certain way on the stand. It might be awkward or difficult or whatever. But she definitively lied about certain things, like giving money to charity. Like, oh, I pledged to. Like that's not the same.
Not the same thing at all.
So that's that.
It's kind of disappointing though that she is bankrupt, so she can't even pay him.
No, I know. It was more reputational trial, wasn't it? More than anything.
Yeah, else. I suppose so. Although she has been offered, I don't know what became of this because this was a while ago, but she was offered, I think, $10 million to do porn.
Yeah.
That's like where her career's at the moment now, basically.
Yeah.
In fact, I think she might have even started up her own OnlyFans.
Oh, really?
Because she's that like right. I need some money.
Okay. Well, that was that.
Yeah.
And then we had another versus. Roe v. Wade was overturned in America.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know. All I have to say about
the amount of time that that has passed.
All I have to say about that is give pro-life people the benefit of the doubt that they actually care about what they say they care about. This whole thing of, if men got pregnant, this wouldn't be a problem. That's utterly fucking ridiculous. It's not an attack on women. Women get pregnant, so therefore the abortion debate is centres around women. Zeitgeist notwithstanding. They think you're killing babies. I'm not coming down on one side or the other. I'm really not. But you have to have the argument on those terms. Because that's what they genuinely believe. They're not sexist. They're not, if this was a man who... No.
Yeah.
They think you're killing babies.
They want to take your rights away from you.
It never was your right.
That's the thing. Like, this idea that, like, it's a given that it's my right to choose whether I keep the baby or not. No, this isn't... This wasn't decided last I knew.
Well, obviously, it was legal for a while, but it was never their right. That's in America, constitutionally, it was never their right. It's down to the states.
Yeah.
But that's enough of that. I don't really want to get into that.
No, that is a proper discussion.
Yeah,
and we don't have time for that.
We don't have time. Sonic trailer.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of not having enough time, I don't know, just like if I get angry, like, just stop me.
Well, hurry.
The only reason I wanted to bring this up was because one of the points we made, not only during the Sonic trailer discussion, but the Sonic film review, Sonic 2 film review, I should say, was just like the weird like continuity they have with Tails. The fact that they kept the voice actor from the games who did the voice acting at like the like post-credit scene in the first film and then they kept that voice actor for the second film, despite the fact that they completely redid the scene that is the only continuity between those two films.
Yeah.
They kept the voice actor, and we were like, why? Is it because she's just that good? Is it because they wanted to be consistent? I think that's what we arrived at, right? Like, if it's anything,
it's just consistency.
it's just because they wanted to be consistent.
Yeah.
And to go along with the Blu-ray release for the Sonic 2 movie, they did like a 4-minute short film that stars Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and they've changed Tails' voice actor.
Yeah.
So I'm just what are you doing?
You're angry.
I am angry.
Yeah.
So they kept Sonic. They kept not Ben Whishaw. Schwartz. They kept Ben Schwartz, but Idris Elba is not voicing Knuckles.
No.
And Colin O'Shaughnessy is not voicing Tails. I kind of get Idris Elba. He's a busy man. A lot of people like Idris Elba at the moment.
Yeah, Ben Schwartz, they got him.
And like Ben Schwartz, they probably contracted right, you're our man.
Whatever we want to do, we're doing it.
But was Colleen O'Shaughnessy not available for 4 minutes
was her
of
calendar packed?
Given that she voices Tails in the game, that is her contract.
Yeah,
she's in the new game that's coming out in November. She's they have a working. I'm getting angry.
You're getting too angry.
It's just another point against the film. It's I don't even know why you kept this voice actor, but now you haven't kept them.
Yeah, I know.
There's no consistency anymore. It's just.
Is that everything?
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up. Yeah. But it's been brought up now.
It's been brought up.
Yeah.
Very quickly, there's a Garth Marenghi book that's coming out in November.
Yeah, that was a bit of left field, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I will read it, so maybe a book review, first book review on the podcast.
Ooh.
But yeah, just if you're interested in Garth Marenghi, order it on Amazon. I think it's called Garth Marenghi's Terror Tome or something like that.
Is it worth telling people what Garth Marenghi is?
I really don't think we got time to explain what Garth Marenghi is.
Just
okay, it was a channel,
just so they know that this is a big deal.
Okay,
or it's kind of a big deal.
It was a Channel 4 comedy series. There were only 6 episodes, created by Matthew Holness and Richard Ayoade. It's kind of a meta comedy thing where it's about this Stephen King-esque but rubbish horror author who's written more books than he's read, and they're all schlocky B stories, kind of Day of the Triffids, but Day of the Mushrooms. It's all shit.
Yeah.
And he's a terrible writer. And in the 80s, he wrote a show for Channel 4 that he directed, produced, starred in, all that. And his book agent plays his boss in it. And it's kind of a supernatural thriller where he's a doctor. And then the show is kind of the actors and the writer commenting on the show within the show.
Yeah, there's kind of 2 layers of reality.
There's 2 layers of it. And it's very self-aware, and it knows all the tropes of 80s horror and kind of bad filmmaking because it's made terribly.
It's meta-comedy done right.
It's meta-comedy done right. 2004, only the one series. It has a big cult following, and there's been nothing of it since. And now this book is coming out. So
yeah. Is it Dan Harmon who brings it up a lot?
I don't know. A lot of American comedians like it, kind of the Anglophile.
Yeah, I think it's the litmus test for a lot of people. It's how well do you know British comedy? Do you know Garth Marenghi's Dark Place?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just nice seeing it back again in some form, and it's actually written by Matthew Holner, right?
I think it is. I don't know if Ayoade's involved, but yeah.
Yeah, but at least it's the original creators are doing something with it.
Yeah, it's not just Okay, are you familiar with All Star Weekend?
No.
Right, it was the film that Jamie Foxx directed.
Oh, okay.
That has been shelved because there's blackface. No, Robert Downey Jr. I think plays a Mexican maybe in it.
Okay.
So it got shelved. It's been made. It has loads of A-list actors in it. It's Tim Downey Jr. There's loads of them.
They're starting to fill up the shelf in Hollywood, aren't they?
I know.
Of unreleased films.
Yeah, and star-studded cast.
Yeah.
And he wrote it, he directed it. It was his. I think it's based around basketball. Going to be a big thing for him. Not only has it been shelved, if you go on Jamie Foxx's Wikipedia page, last time I checked, it's not even mentioned.
Oh shit!
There's no mention of it. No mention of it being cancelled. It doesn't exist. If you go on his filmography, it's not they have unreleased projects on there. That's not even there.
It's just wiped.
It's wiped from history. It's not there anymore.
Fuck.
So yeah, make of that what
I just remember when Jamie Foxx was on Joe Rogan and just how staunchly he defended Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why he was okay with him doing it in this film.
Well, yeah, he asked him to do it, obviously.
But that's the fact. This film was made. It was approved, and it was made with people in 2022 or whenever it was made. Presumably quite recently.
I think, a couple of years ago.
It got this far. Do you think they didn't know, this might be problematic? It was
yeah.
I don't understand it. It would have been a calculated risk. It would have been we know what we're doing. It's going to be fine. We'll stand our ground. And they just didn't.
And not only that, it's wiped from the annals of
It's
history.
not even like in Mexican as well. It's not even.
I think he was Mexican, yeah.
It's not even as if he was in blackface.
No, probably just doing an accent with some dirt on his face. I don't know.
But it's just like
Do your garden.
in the all racism not good. Sure. I did genuinely mean that, by the way.
All races are not good. Is
All
that what you
racism not
Oh,
good.
right, okay. I thought you said all races are not good.
No.
Right, okay.
Everyone's a piece of shit, all right? We're all equally the worst thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, all racism not good, I get that. But in the hierarchy of, like, evil, Mexican racism isn't as high as the other ones, right?
You're talking about it in the kind of contemporary society. Not actually.
Like, black racism is the worst racism.
Yes, yeah.
You deserve to die if you're black racist.
I think we should qualify.
No, I'm talking about, like, in culture.
How the Olympics hierarchy. The hierarchy of, oppression. The oppression Olympics.
Yeah, oppression Olympics.
Yeah. Yes, Mexicans not quite as high as black.
Yeah.
But it's probably next.
Okay.
Asians low. And Jews
Asians
very
low, is it?
Asians low, yeah.
Okay.
There is a lot of Asian racism. And then Jews at the bottom.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Well, Jew is white. An Asian will be white in a generation.
Yeah. My only point was I'm surprised that this has happened.
Yeah.
Given that it's Mexican racism, but maybe I'm just not up to speed on my racism chart.
Anything that's like, let's not go there.
Okay.
Because the whole Bill Maher's talking about like people, because Steve Carell plays a Jew in the new FX miniseries The Patient, and he's not Jewish, and they're calling it Jew face.
Right.
That's like blackface or Jew face. Like, you see how you kind of come out the other end of it?
Yeah.
Okay. Queen's died.
Queen is dead.
Queen's dead.
Long live the... Oh.
King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to this, fine.
What were you going to do?
It was a joke that didn't land, it's fine.
What was the joke supposed to be?
Long live the Queen. Oh,
but no, well, that's what you're supposed to say. The Queen is dead. Long live the king.
Which you immediately did. So it just makes me look like a fool.
I didn't get the joke at all.
No.
Okay. She's died.
She's a dead queen.
My opinion of her has gone up. No, not that she's died, but that, hearing people talk
I rather like her now she's dead.
Talking about the various things that she embodied, like duty and responsibility, and the fact that you never knew what she personally thought about anything, is a good thing. And I think she's the end of something.
No, it is genuinely like when you actually think about it, you sort of realise, the only people that didn't like the Queen are people that don't like royalty.
Yes.
The people that don't like the royals.
Even people that don't have a soft spot for the Queen.
Yeah.
You know, I think...
But that's got to be the sign of a good leader, right?
Well,
the only people who don't like her are the only people that wouldn't like anyone that occupied that space.
Yeah. My neighbour is a very anti-Tory, anti-monarchist, kind of left-leaning guy. And he has said, as much as I hate the monarchy, it does feel like a star that was always there is missing.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's like a thing that hung over everything. My kind of take on the coverage is, of course, it was going to be end-to-end, wall-to-wall. Like, that's all it's going to be for months. And that's fine. It is silly, but of course it was always going to be that way. Yeah, there's nothing new to report. We said it's a good like acid test really of the 24-hour news thing, which came about as a result of 9/11 because there was something to report on, not every minute, but it was an evolving story.
Yeah.
And now a sad thing happened.
Well, that's the thing with 9/11. There were discussions to be had, even if we knew all the news that there is to know at the moment. There were discussions to be had about what happens now.
We know that
how do we deal with this?
Yeah, all we need to know is when's he going to be coronated, when's her funeral. That's kind of it.
Yeah, like there's nothing to say about the Queen is dead.
It's just like, what was her life like? A memorial thing, and that's fine. But we've kind of done that now. The one good story I heard about her was that Saudi king came over to visit, and she personally picked him up in her car and drove him, because obviously it's illegal for women to drive in Saudi Arabia.
Right, okay.
To make a little point, I like that. And yeah, just the... I think both extremes are silly. It's silly to be happy that she's dead. That's why, like, unless you're Bin Laden, you can't be happy that someone's died.
Yeah.
And people are sobbing.
Unless Bin Laden's died, it's wrong to... Or unless you're specifically Osama Bin Laden.
Unless you're happy that Bin Laden has died.
Okay.
And it's just like, I don't know, if you don't have anything positive to add to the conversation in that respect, why would you say anything? I'm generally not of the mind that if you've got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. I'm obviously against that. But... in this case, why would you?
Yeah.
Why would you add just the toxic sludge to the... I don't get it, you know. That's kind of all I have to say about that, really.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I really want to add is to build on that point you were making about what your neighbour said. It feels like a star that was always there has gone out. We are living history again.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, this is the longest reigning monarch maybe ever. Close to it, at least, right? Like 70 years she was on the throne. 96 she died. And she is the only monarch that most people that are alive in the UK today have ever known.
Absolutely. And children born today that have natural lives will have 3 monarchs.
That's the thing. The constant that we've had to live with, they're going to have the complete opposite.
Yeah.
We had 1 queen for, like, as far as we're concerned, our whole lives. They're going to have 3 or 4 kings in their lifetime. Not even a queen.
No.
Unless something, like, really unprecedented happens.
Yeah.
There's not going to be another queen for a while.
No, we won't
It's
see
basically, it's on George to have a daughter before there's another queen.
Or for George to die.
Or for George to die, for Charlotte to take over.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And that's kind of mad to think, like, oh, just that one thing, and now it's, like, the complete opposite of what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's rather mad. Also, just, like, the idea, just the thought of, like, the amount of, like, coins in the UK.
Oh, no. His face on the money is going to be ridiculous.
And the amount of, like, tats sitting in. If you run, like, a UK gift shop, you must be, like, tearing your hair out right now.
No,
cost of living crisis.
No, because you're selling everything.
No, but that's the thing. Like, cost of living crisis is on top of everything.
Yeah.
All of your tat is now worthless.
Yeah, but it's not, because now it's memorabilia. Now it's history. Now it's an artifact. I mean, I know it's tat.
Yeah.
But now, when are people going to be buying Queen stuff more? It was like when, I remember the Stuart Lee joke about the Pope dying, and I think someone was like there at the procession of the coffin or something like that, and they were eating, or they were selling Pope lollies.
Right.
I was like, I don't know what the appropriate things. The Pope has died. It would now be inappropriate to lick a sugar effigy of his face. Or the Pope has died. What better time to lick a sugar effigy of his face? And it's kind of the same, you know, now do you not buy any Queen stuff, or do you buy all the Queen stuff? It's, I don't know. But yeah, she's dead. R.I.P. Queen.
Madge. You're
Madge. And the Emmys happened yesterday, as of this recording.
Yes, finally something recent.
Yes,
we're back in familiar territory.
The Queen's relatively recent.
Yeah, that happened.
I know
quite fast.
I know it feels like it wasn't, but
yeah,
that was less than a week ago. Thursday she died.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's Tuesday today. Emmy's the only thing that would be of interest to you, to us. Succession won Best Drama Series again.
This is good news.
This is good. It won writing for a drama series.
This is also good news
for the finale, because that it always does.
Yeah.
And no, it shouldn't. It wasn't the best written episode.
No,
but they always win for finale or pilots.
Yeah,
it's just the way it goes. Because usually the showrunner does it, and they want to give the writing award to the showrunner. Lee Jung-jae won actor for Squid Game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was the favourite for that.
Okay.
Zendaya won again for Euphoria. Of course she did. And then a bunch of things that don't really matter. But Matthew McFadden won Best Supporting Actor.
Oh, that is good.
Yeah, for Succession.
Yeah.
Kieran Culkin was the favourite. I had a horrible feeling they were going to give it to one of the Squid Game people. But no, Matthew McFadden, who is my favourite thing about Succession, won.
Yes, especially in season 3.
Yeah, especially in season 3.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I just got the feeling like, oh, he's going to be one of the best things about that show and never get recognised for it. I thought maybe season 4 would be a shot, because it looks like he's going to have a much bigger role than he already has. But he is great. Yeah. And he deserved it.
He's really good.
So that's it.
Okay,
now on to the proper reviews.
Oh, the proper, okay.
No, I lied. There's something before that.
No?
Yeah.
What?
Sam's Lexicorner. Entree.
Samuel. Words. Phrases. Sam's Lexicorner.
Alright, this is a very quick one. We're doing a quizzes at the moment where you have to guess an actor by their filmography. And we were like, oh, what would the television equivalent be? And it is filmography. It goes by the same thing. But it does feel like it should have its own term.
Yeah, filmography is like film, discography is music, bibliography is books.
What's games?
It's ludography, I think.
Oh, is that the actual thing?
Maybe.
Yeah, that makes sense, ludography. Yeah. Okay, well, this isn't revolutionary. It's just what it would be called, so it's what we're going to call it.
Okay.
Telegraphy.
Yeah, alright.
Yeah,
okay.
There you go. Not telegraphy, because that's a thing involving telegraphs. So telegraphy.
Right.
An actor's body of work on television.
Samuel. Words. Phrases. Sam's Lexicorner.
And now for the first proper film
now
review.
We're jumping into
it. The Northman.
The Northman.
It's not that kind of North, George, is it?
Oh, is it not?
No.
Did I watch the right film?
Did you watch a documentary about people on the dole in Manchester?
Yeah.
Oh, good, because that's what we're going to review.
Oh, good, okay.
I thought you were doing an Icelandic accent. No, Robert Eggers' The Northman. What's the plot, George?
From what I remember, the plot is Alexander Skarsgård?
Yeah.
No, not initially. Initially, it's his child.
He is the child.
He is the child.
Yes.
Well, he's not the child.
He doesn't play the
His
child.
character
but
is-
his character
is a
is
child.
Is a child.
Yes, Robert Eggers. No, not Robert Eggers. Fuck. Right. So Ethan Hawke's in this as well.
Yeah.
He plays the king.
Yes.
The guy that will soon be Alexander Skarsgård.
His child.
Plays his child.
Yes.
His child. They go.
No, not the guy that will soon be Alexander Skarsgård plays his child.
Yeah, plays Ethan Hawke's child.
Oh, okay. Plays Alexander Skarsgård's child.
Yes.
Okay.
So they have like the
No,
king.
it still doesn't make sense, but just go on.
Right. Well, the king comes home from being out there with the king, being the king,
Yes.
raiding and pillaging and
All that.
and all that.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm sort of done with this.
Right.
My son is now going to go through a coming of age ceremony.
Right.
With me. It's not dirty. I realised that I made that sound a bit.
The king comes home.
The king comes home
And
he's like, you child,
his son
come to this like secluded hut with me and Willem Dafoe, and you will become a man.
Right.
Oh fuck! No, that's worse.
Right. Fine. Okay. But he's
That's worse.
But I know. Leave it there. Just leave it there. We
Okay.
don't have you go into this minutia. The king comes home. His son is going to take over the throne.
Yes.
So he begins the process of becoming a man.
Yeah, that's all right.
Coming of age. But then the king's betrayed by his brother.
Yes.
Who kills him.
Yes.
And
The king's brother, not
king's
the king's
brother,
son's brother.
No. The king's brother betrays him, and then kills the village. Does all that shit.
Yeah.
Presumably, kind of forcibly takes the king's wife.
Yes.
As his own, and the child escapes, rows off, vowing to wreak revenge.
Yes.
To have his revenge. And then we jump ahead in time to when he is indeed played by Alexander Skarsgård.
Yes.
And thus the film commenceth properly.
Yes, Alexander Skarsgård is a man with some rage
Yes.
that has not been resolved. Mm-hmm. And that brings him back to Iceland.
Yeah.
Because a detail of the film I kind of like actually is in that like 30-year time gap or whatever it is, you find out that the king's brother sort of overthrew that little kingdom, and then another guy came along and overthrew him almost straight away.
Yeah.
So now he's just like this nobody.
Yeah.
They're like sheep farmers in Iceland. So it's not even like this big like I'm coming back to the kingdom that was once mine.
No.
It's like the remnants of like it's barely his king. It's barely a
It's
kingdom.
the dregs
It's not even
of the
his
kingdom.
anymore.
Yeah.
Which I thought was quite nice. But yeah, he comes back, sort of like forms a partnership with Anya Taylor-Joy along the way, who's kind of this like, oh, I can like do things.
Yeah.
She's like that person.
Right.
And
It's been a while since I've seen it.
yeah, it has been a while.
It's been a long time.
But it's like on a very like simple level. It's a very simple film. It's just like man seeketh revenge film.
It's a Nordic gladiator.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's gorgeous, as you'd expect.
I don't know how Robert Eggers does it. Or his cinematographer. I guess I should give the cinematographer credit as well.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I watched like a compressed 1080 stream
Right.
of this film, and I felt like I was watching it in 4K.
Yeah.
It looks gorgeous and so like rich with detail. Like the
Yeah,
lighthouse,
quite,
you can kind of because the lighthouse was black and white and it was shot on like proper old film grain.
Yeah, and
so
the
it had
ratio as well.
and the ratio
Yeah.
as well. So it had real texture to it.
Yeah.
I don't know what this was shot on, but this had texture as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know how he does it because every film of his is like amazing, like visually.
Oh, you feel it.
Yeah.
You smell it. You taste it. Yeah.
Yeah. If Prey was inauthentic, this is the complete inverse of that. This feels like, even if it's not like, well, I mean, the dialogue helps it make it feel like it's of that time period.
Yes.
That was another problem with Prey, is they all just kind of speak like normal people.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, it's that Robert Eggers, like,
The archaic language.
archaic, poetic dialogue.
Well, the archaic language is still fantastic, but it's not the star, as it has been in The Witch and The Lighthouse.
Yeah.
It's not the thing of the film.
No.
The thing is the story. The thing is the epic scope and the visuals of it.
Yeah.
And I missed it. I did. I missed that kind of concentrated script, you know, it's that pure dialogue.
I don't know, it still hit for me. It certainly wasn't as prevalent as it was with the last two.
Yeah.
Like The Witch and The Lighthouse, you need subtitles going into those films because they're so concentrated and like just alien the way that those characters speak. Whereas this, it was like you could like understand them.
Yeah, you can
Like
understand them,
it was fun listening to them. There were like some moments where just like I don't know, just the way they like phrase things just made me laugh.
Yeah. Well, I know that it was slightly compromised by the studio. Like, it's not the exact film he wanted to put out.
Which is unfortunate, because it's like... Do we both recommend it?
On balance, yeah.
It's the weakest film in his filmography, but would you say it's a weak film?
It's not a bad film.
No.
No, it's... Okay, Right. The good things about it.
I was just going to say, it's a shame. It would be a shame if we both recommend it. It's a shame that it went the way that it did.
Yeah.
Because Robert Eggers has publicly said, "I'm never working with the studio again."
Yes.
After working on them with the Northman.
Yeah.
And that's a shame because of the product that came from that.
Yeah, and it would be a decent, a better film if it wasn't him, frankly. As you know, you didn't have those expectations going into it.
Yeah.
The archaic language is still fab, like I said, but it's not the star of the film. It's visually amazing. It's an expanded scope. It is an epic.
Yeah.
You know? And it's undeniable that revenge as a theme just runs deep in people. There's like a visceral thrill, like, I am his vengeance.
Yeah.
You can't help but like get that little,
Yeah.
But there are problems. And the problems are, it verges on goofy, but it knows it. I'll give it that. It knows that it can be goofy.
Yeah.
The accents I'm not sure about. I think a Chernobyl approach would have been better.
Yeah, Chernobyl, Death of Stalin, where it's like...
Just do your normal
accent and we'll kind of fill it in.
And we don't question it.
Yeah.
You know? Obviously in Stalin it works a little bit more because you've got Buscemi doing his natural... It's kind of funny that he's doing that. Whereas as long as they're kind of assuming... I mean, Ethan Hawke doing his normal dramatic voice or Skarsgård doing... You're not going to... It's not going to be funny or like, absurd. You would just accepted it. It verges on an excess of abstraction, I would say. It can be too...
Because of its supernatural elements.
Yeah. And it's too visually poetic at points. It's like I would have preferred it to be a bit more grounded.
I suppose. I mean, that element of it I wasn't expecting, so it was kind of a nice surprise when it was like, oh, this isn't just a straightforward grounded. There is like stuff going on behind the scenes in the story. I kind of get what you mean though, because it does feel like, well, like, oh, he's out for revenge, and on the one hand you've got that kind of like brutal, like grounded kind of like violence and earthiness, and like that, they're down in the muck and you can feel it, but there is this thing hanging over the film where like, oh, it's all predetermined, and there are people within the story that are tapping into that like predeterminism.
And I think just visual flights of fancy as well, where it's just kind of rein it in a bit, and and the story is very nuts and bolts. It is Gladiator. It's that story. It is she's pregnant with his child, and the child will become it's that story.
Yeah.
And like I said, I thought it was fine. I did like it, but it was also a disappointment. But not because it's a bad film.
Okay.
Just because it's not as good as I hoped it would be. If you're Eggers completist, obviously watch it. I just think all said and done, I prefer Eggers working with density over scale. I think him in confined environments where it's the language and the performances, that's what I like about him. When it's expanded, well, I'll just say in this case.
It's distilled, isn't it, when it's expanded?
Right, exactly. And so I thought that was a shame, but it's still better than most films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was still good. It was still enjoyable. I enjoyed my time watching it.
Yes. And the performances are good, Kidman is a bit weird.
Yeah,
doesn't age you.
I couldn't help but think of like, this is something nobody's going to get, so I don't even know why I'm bringing it up. But you remember Murder in Successville, right?
Yes.
Where we watched together. Remember the woman's Bjork impression?
Yeah.
I am a fantastical star child.
Yeah, it's like that.
I was just thinking of that the whole film. Yeah. Even when it was like Skarsgård and people that are sort of have that Icelandic background.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of that the whole time. Bjork's in it as well, isn't she?
I think Bjork's in it, yeah.
Yeah, Bjork is like...
She's Icelandic, isn't she?
Yeah, she's one of the people that's like, I know all the things.
Yeah, she's like the witch soothsayer thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe is a court jester.
Sort of.
Of course he fucking is.
Yeah. Willem Dafoe being a bit mental, basically.
Yeah.
Ethan Hawke is good. He does carry himself with kind of is regality a word? It should be. A regalness. He does feel like a king. And Skarsgård is just a big guy, so he kind of easily carries that off. I think it's either Klaus or Klaus. I think it's Klaus. Klaus Bang, who plays the villain.
Okay.
He was good.
Yeah. Like
he's the guy in Bad Sisters, which we will also... Well, I'll review on a future podcast. He's the husband. He's the bastard husband that they kill.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, and he played Dracula, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's good.
Yeah, he is good.
Yeah.
Not a total, like... I guess I should have expected it from Eggers, but he's not a total bastard.
No. Exactly. He's human.
Yeah.
And the final fight is great as well.
Yeah.
In the volcano or next to a volcano or something.
Yes. Yeah. No, yeah, it's very well choreographed.
Yeah. And it is visceral. It is that visceral thrill of, fucking kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can easily foresee someone going into this and just being very satisfied with it.
And there's a nice little twist as well. It's been long enough, we can say, where the mother is not at all sympathetic.
Yeah,
mother's part.
She's basically the reason it's all happened.
Yeah, she wanted the king killed. She was in love with, Yeah. So
just nice things like that kind of like push that film towards being its own beast.
Yeah.
Where it's like, ooh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a nice thing the character has to deal with now.
Yeah. So overall, I'd say a recommendation.
Yeah, it's a recommendation. Do you think it's got mass appeal? I think
No.
this is a discussion a few people have had around this film now.
I don't think it does.
Okay.
I think the story does, but I think its presentation and the language kind of cut it off at the knees a little bit.
Okay.
It doesn't have mass appeal.
Okay.
But it's not as niche as the other two films he's made.
No.
No. But no, I don't think it quite rises to the level of mass appeal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's like a bad thing.
Oh, no, bad thing. No. But that's what I would say.
Yeah.
It's,
I'm just wondering if this is like the ideal. It's our best chance, I suppose. But if this is the ideal Eggers gateway film,
if you're gonna try him, it's a gateway film. It's but then again, it doesn't give quite an accurate reflection of the kind of stuff he does. In some ways, it does, but yeah, it's like his version of a Marvel movie, of a blockbuster. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
alright, blockbuster.
I mean, not Marvel, a
Yeah,
mainstream, action movie. So yeah, that's it. Yeah. Okay. Another film review. The Unbearable Weight.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a couple.
There's going to be a few. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
Which we also watched, 6 months ago or something?
Yeah.
What's it about, George?
It's about Nicolas Cage.
Yep. Go on.
No, it's about Nicolas Cage.
That's it?
Pretty much.
What's the plot?
It's Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage plays Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
Who is called...
Nicolas Cage.
Who is called...
Nicolas Cage.
I don't have time!
Is he or is he not called Nicolas Cage in the
Yes,
film?
I'm trying to elaborate.
Oh, right, okay.
He is Nicolas Cage playing Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
The character is called Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
And he is booked for someone's birthday party. Is that what it is?
Oh, called for... Oh, right, I see where you... Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were genuinely like... he's called
no.
this name.
If the audio spiked, I apologise. I whacked the table in anger. Pedro Pascal hires him for a birthday party, right?
Yes.
And then basically Nicolas Cage is contacted by the CIA who say he's a massive drug kingpin.
Yeah.
And we want you to help us take him down. It's a very meta film about Cage's filmography and the budding friendship between him and Pedro Pascal.
Well, that sort of becomes like a subplot, doesn't it? As they start writing a film together.
Right.
And even though the film that we're seeing is not the film that they write... Oh, no, I think it does end up being that, right?
It kind of...
spoiler, my apologies.
No, that's fine. We've said that, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's a bit of an adaptation, kind of...
Yeah. But like it's following the beats of their film, even if it's not necessarily one-to-one.
Yes.
Again,
because you end up watching the film.
Yeah.
The finale is that...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, again, I would say it's sort of meta-comedy done right.
I would agree. It's...
not least because it's not a crutch for the comedy of this film.
Well, it was neither too indulgent nor too restrained.
No.
I feel it was that nice balance.
You hear that, like, this film is called The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, and it's Nick Cage playing himself.
Yeah.
You go, oh, God.
Oh, yeah, we go.
I think we even did that on this podcast.
Yeah.
Like, Eddie told us about it, and we were like, oh, God.
Yeah, it's like I'm thinking of ending things. Like a Charlie Kaufman film called I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. But, yeah, no, it doesn't... It does live up to that title, but it's not weighed down by it.
Well, what was a nice surprise as well is that it wasn't a Nick Cage, like... Not like creation myth, but you know what I'm trying to get at, right?
Yeah, it was pretty down to earth considering it wasn't like Machete, where it's Machete goes to space.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not like Chuck Norris then. It kind of does play with those Nicolas Cage, he's a bit mental, and he's an actor, that sort of thing.
But the film is not in love with Nicolas Cage.
No, he just plays himself.
Yeah, which was a nice surprise.
Yeah, it was. But Pedro Pascal's a standout.
Oh, yeah. He stole the film.
He was great in it.
Completely stole the film.
Yeah. I became nervous initially when Ike Barinholtz and Tiffany Haddish showed up.
Oh, yeah, the FBI.
The kind of films they're in.
Yeah, and like they've got a couple of lines, don't they? He starts going on about his ex-wife at one point, and it's like, this feels very like clunky, awkward shit
by
comedy.
the numbers. Yeah, there is some irritating humor, and a few gag reflexes.
Yes.
But overall, I thought it was well handled.
But there's also like good humor in there as well. The sequence where they drop acid is great.
Yeah, that's good
because it feels well observed as well.
Yeah.
Sort of, like from our own experience, or at least from my experience, that sequence where they're just talking about their film.
Yeah.
And they look at those two guys over there. Imagine that they're like characters in our film and they're watching us.
Yeah.
And then they both convince themselves that
it's happened.
That they're watching them. And then there's like a moment later on where they like escape.
And then there's nothing that's happening.
Nothing that's happening. And then they see two guys again. I'm not entirely convinced they were even the same guys.
Yeah,
but they react to them as though they are, and they get freaked out. Like a lot of that's really funny.
Yeah, and they tried to climb a wall, thinking like it's the final time they're going to see each other, and one sacrifice himself, and he just walks around the wall.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, it ends up being a very traditional blockbuster.
Pretty
if
much.
you remove the meta kind of aspect of it,
yeah,
and you just think, oh, it's about an actor that is sent to this like resort play, you know. I was pleasantly surprised to see Sharon Horgan in it.
Which one's that?
His wife.
Oh, right, okay.
Again, back to Bad Sisters. It was visually uninteresting.
Yeah, that's definitely a point against it.
Yeah.
It just looks... It doesn't really have an identity of its own, visually anyway.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
It's got that kind of like overlit Hollywood comedy look to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. There are three problems with the film that kind of hold it back. That's one of them. Another one is that it's funny, but it's not hilarious. It's never like, oh my god, that's so funny, you know, for what it is.
Yeah.
It's not as funny as it could have been.
Yeah, I guess like a moment that represents that for me is the moment where he gets injected with the whatever the thing is.
Oh, and he's gonna die. And
and he has that moment where like his body's going limp. And he's like, oh, I'm talking like this.
Yeah,
and he's got to like do this dangerous thing.
Yeah.
Perfect setup for like, again, like a Rowan Atkinson.
Or Wolf of Wall Street.
I think they even have, Wolf of Wall Street, but I think they even have it in Johnny English, don't they? Where he's injected with like...
Yeah.
And it's like, he's still got to be a spy.
Yeah.
And that sequence never really took off for me. I never feel like he really committed to the whole, oh, I'm like physically incapacitated, but I still have to do this thing.
Yeah.
It felt quite reserved, weirdly.
Yeah, it did. So, yeah, not as funny as it should have been. Visually uninteresting, and it is darkened by the shadow of things similar to it that are better, like Adaptation.
Yeah,
it's just not. It doesn't rise to the level of a Charlie Kaufman script, or you know that, or like
being John Malkovich, maybe.
Well, Charlie Kaufman, but
or
like Martin McDonagh. You know, like even Seven Psychopaths, I think was probably better.
Okay,
but I think I'm probably a minority there. But it just didn't. It's not on that level. But yeah, it had setups and payoffs that we didn't expect.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, it's not just that random American humor thing. It's a constructed thing.
There's a reason for this.
It was written.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing I can say about it, really.
Yes.
It was properly...
it was written.
So yeah, I think we recommend that, don't we?
I would recommend it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And another film review. Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh god, we've already reviewed a lot, Sam, and now you want to review everything.
Everything Everywhere All at Once, I know. That was me reviewing everything. Not the film.
No,
that was all the sounds of me reviewing everything. All
every noise in the universe.
Every noise. I again have little to say, which is surprising for a film titled that. But I watched it a while ago, and I didn't know whether we'd be reviewing it or not.
Okay.
What's the plot?
You want me to give you the plot of everything everywhere all at once?
I do.
Oh god! All right. So there's this China woman called Sarah Oh or whatever her name is. No, that's the actor.
No, well, the actress Sandra Oh. And it's not her. You're racist.
Who is it?
Michelle Yeoh was the actress.
Oh, Michelle Yeoh. Yeah. Well, forgive me, Sam.
Yeah, it's not Sandra Oh, is it? And they do look different.
I don't know who these women are.
Okay, but it's not Sandra Oh.
Okay, it's Michelle Yeoh.
It's Michelle Yeoh.
All right, Michelle Yeoh plays a China woman, and she runs a laundrette with her husband, who convinced her to get the laundrette, and they are struggling financially. And they go to the IRS because their taxes are there's inconsistencies in their finances or whatever. And while there, she is approached by her husband from another universe, who basically says, there is somebody from another universe that is coming to kill you. Follow my instructions. And so she does that, and it basically devolves into this mad kind of like fights, chase, escapade, where she is like trying to stay alive and escape the person who's trying to kill her while jumping between different universes.
Yeah.
And then everything just starts to like bleed into her reality, and it goes off the rails a little bit. It's from the Daniels.
Okay.
Which are the two guys that did Swiss Army Man.
Yes.
Which is a film that I really, 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 really liked when I saw it, and it fell down the rankings very quickly for me after that.
Yeah.
I have a feeling based on what you've told me before about this that the same thing's true for you of this film.
I never liked it that much.
Oh, you never? Oh, right.
No. I acknowledge its strengths.
Yeah.
Well edited, well directed, all that sort of thing.
It's a strong outing, like in terms of filmmaking. It's a very strong outing,
and it's received rave reviews.
Yeah.
It probably will be Oscar nominated.
Well, it's been used as like the counterpoint to Multiverse of Madness, isn't it?
Obviously, yes, because they came out at the same time.
Both multiverse films. One's big studio tentpole blockbuster.
Yeah.
And the other one is like, it's this little indie film.
Yeah, but they might not have similar themes.
But exactly, yeah.
Yes, I really like Ke Huy Quan, who's the husband.
He's my favourite thing about it.
Me too.
I initially thought I was going to be annoyed by him.
Me too.
But he of the Goonies and Indiana Jones on the Temple of Doom. Yeah. Yeah, he's returned to acting. Yeah, it's been a while, right?
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis is also rather good.
Yeah, she was fun.
As the tax lady.
Yeah, the dishevelled, frumpy tax lady.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just not my cup of tea. That's what it comes down to. But I acknowledge all the things that are good about it.
Too silly?
I like things that have limits.
Okay.
And that's a weird... Like, generally speaking, when you can do anything, when you can do everything all at once, how can you decide on any one thing? Goofy, like just things like that. They're really not my thing.
I mean, the film knows it's silly, right?
Oh, it does, yeah. This is not a criticism. If you like that, you will like it.
Yeah.
I understand that for the people who are into those sorts of things and that tone, it's probably going to be amongst their favourite films. Like, it's that kind of film.
I mean, I think this is what the Daniels do. This is their kind of like...
Last thing, I never liked Swiss Army Man.
Right, okay. But I think that's their unique selling point, is they're very tonally, like, weird. Yeah. Like, they can be profane and silly and kind of heartfelt within the same scene.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the obviously, like, silly stuff like the when they're fighting the guys that have the thing shoved up their ass.
Yeah.
And just, like, weird, like, universes that they jump into. But the film does have an emotional punch at the end, or at least it's going for an emotional punch at the end. And I guess it's kind of nice that they brought it down to that. This isn't just frivolous nonsense.
No, it's ultimately about a human story.
This is a very human story, ultimately. And that's nice, but I think it's dependent on you liking the daughter, and I didn't like the daughter.
Nor did I.
Yeah.
Because she's a millennial. There's a trend.
It seems to be.
It's so hard to like young people.
Well, it's just like... And maybe it's because we spend so much time with the mother. So when the daughter comes back at her and it's like, I'm so exhausted by our relationship, it just sounds like she hasn't been trying.
But it's also just anyone who says the sentence, I'm so exhausted by our relationship. What kind of person is I think we just have to like educate ourselves.
Yeah.
And God, just say I don't like you. Jesus Christ. Do you know what I mean though? Like that vibe.
Yeah, no, it is unfortunate because I think you need that. That was the missing piece for me. Fine with the silliness, obviously loved the way it was made, really liked the central performances. Yeah, but the daughter was the weak link for me, and that is a very unfortunate weak link to have.
Considering that's supposed to be the big gut punch at the end.
Well, she's the main villain.
She's the main villain.
That's what you find out is like the daughter, a version of the main character in one of their universes, basically like poured the entire multiverse into her daughter's head.
Okay.
Something like that.
I can't remember.
And now she's able to like jump between universes on the fly. And so she's hunting down her mother. I think initially you're supposed to think it's to kill her. And then it's sort of like...
It's one of those things where it's very like madcap, high concept sort of stuff. But like ultimately it's about this very small drama. It's really about a mother and a daughter. But we're going to use that to infinitize.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
A lot of people already like it. And I think a lot of people would like it. If the Northman is not widely accessible, this is surely widely accessible, right?
This is more accessible than the Northman.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of its humour, and it's not hard to understand.
That's the thing. Dealing with like all of the stuff that throws your way, it is very like you can follow it very easily.
Yeah. And it is silly and it's it's fun if you're into that sort of thing. Yeah, no, this is one of those where I recommend it to anyone who fancies it, but it just wasn't for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
It's a shame. Yeah. But I sort of knew going in, like even out the rave reviews, selling it as like the best film of the year or all that kind of thing. I kind of knew I wasn't going to love it. Okay. I just knew the vibe of it. It was like, But I wouldn't discourage anyone from watching it.
Okay. I like it. I like it more than you, certainly.
Yes.
But I think it is going to be a film with diminishing returns. I think every time I watch it, it's going to get slightly worse for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll ever dip into the point where it's like, oh yeah, I don't like this film anymore. But it's certainly going to lose its...
Your novelty is what it had going for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's the type of film where if you're going to watch it, you should always watch it with someone who's never seen it before.
Okay.
Because the film has surprise on its side.
Yeah.
It's not one of those like spoilery films. It's not like...
No.
Oh, I could ruin the plot for you. It's the experience of like, oh, what mad shit are they going to do next?
It's just weird, yeah.
And then I think like the kind of emotional stuff at the end is like a nice cathartic release for when if you're in a group of people.
Yes.
So that would be that's the approach I'm probably going to take with it. If I'm ever going to watch it again, I'll make sure it's with somebody who's not seen it before.
Okay.
Because I feel like, at least through them, I'll kind of recapture that experience that I'm never going to get back for myself.
Okay. And I would say it's not, if you're not interested already, I wouldn't say seek it out. But if it's the kind of thing you fancy, then you should watch it.
Okay.
That's what I would say. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Guess what we're doing now?
What are we doing now?
Another film review.
You're joking.
I know. Top Gun Maverick.
That is another film.
Yeah, you saw this before I did.
Yes.
I held off for a long time. Not exactly sure why, but I did. And I watched it.
Okay. Yeah, because usually when you do that, it's for something like Parasite or Midnight
that I
Mass.
suspect I'm really going to like.
Yeah.
Maybe it was because of the overwhelmingly positive reception for it.
This is
I was
the
like,
thing.
oh, I'm bound to like it.
This is the thing.
Yeah.
Would we watch Top Gun Maverick were it not for the overwhelmingly positive reaction that it got?
No.
This is the highest grossing film of the year. It's grossed over $1 billion.
It's also the highest rated film of the year.
Highest rated film of the year. Yeah. Like it's not often the two align.
No.
But it's highest rated film of the year. Highest grossing film of the year, which we suspect is purely on good word of mouth.
Yeah, and repeat viewing.
And repeat viewing as well. Yeah, because I think it had its original cinematic run, and that was it.
Yeah.
It's not as if they brought it back.
No.
Because like Spider-Man, the No Way Home, is that the big Spider-Man?
The most recent one?
Yeah.
I think so.
That's back in cinemas now.
Yeah.
They're obviously
the shortest window ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're just trying to like, let's make more money off of it. Whereas Top Gun, they were like, no, that's it. We don't need to anymore.
Yeah.
And yeah, it made all the money in the world.
What's it about?
It's about planes.
It's about planes.
It's about planes.
Right.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Flying a plane.
Go on, keep going.
That's the film. That's what happens.
Yeah. Or
at least
some other people.
It should be
flying planes, or at least it should be.
Yeah.
No, you're praising some of. There's an implied criticism coming.
Surely not. Not for Top Gun Maverick.
Is it with blue ball in the? I mean, can we present this as though it's like a story sometimes? Like, oh, we don't want to give away this what it's about, but
yeah,
I didn't like it.
Well, that's the end of that story, isn't it?
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
But I didn't like it.
All right.
Broadly speaking, not a fan.
Okay, go on.
Well, I feel bad. It's I never care about being in the minority when it comes to an opinion, but I do feel like this episode in particular, it's all these films that like best of.
Yeah.
I think we've done 3 that are in the top 5, certainly top 10. The Northman, Top Gun, and everything. Like they're all rave reviews, and I'm just like, but
Prey as well.
And Prey,
Yeah.
Okay, the flying sequences look great.
Yes.
But as you pointed out to me, and as you now may do so again,
okay,
it does mean that when CGI is used, it's jarring and it's disappointing.
Yeah, I think it's a shame that the marketing for this film pushed so heavily that the flying sequences were real, or at the very least, they were actually flying in planes.
Yeah.
And the first major flight sequence in the film is so obviously completely fake. It's not even a real plane. It's all CGI. It's not shot like any other flight sequence in the film, so there's not even a visual continuity. It's a real shame. Because I think it undersells it. Because I watched that and I thought, I'm not going to enjoy this now. And then when they do bring in like the proper flying sequences later, I pick right back up again.
Right. So yeah, that's a problem. But it's undeniably impressive visually on the whole. We can't deny that.
Oh yeah.
Tom Cruise is perfectly okay. And Glenn Powell embodies Smarm very well.
He certainly does.
Those are the good things. So...
but so much more happens, Sam.
I know. There are 2 big problems.
Go on.
So the first, given the scarcity of substance, not none, but scarcity, between the aerial sequences, I might as well have YouTubed videos of people flying planes.
Yes, this is... Maybe this is a sign of the direction Tom Cruise's career is going in at the moment. You sort of said earlier that Sean Bean is in his little BBC indie drama phase at the moment.
Yeah.
This is Tom Cruise's real like action films that have really solid action sequences and like nothing else going for them.
Right.
Mission Impossible Fallout is the big comparison for me, because it's a film that like I occasionally go back to those action sequences on YouTube and I watch them and I think I should really rewatch this film. Mm-hmm. But I remember watching it and going, oh, there's nothing in between the action sequences.
Yeah, well, it's sort of like the ne plus ultra. We're not there yet, but it's that inevitable, okay, what's Tom Cruise's thing? He does his own stunts.
Yeah.
That's always been his thing. And so you just inflate that infinitely.
Is that necessarily a bad thing? Because like the implication there is that we will eventually just reach a point where it's just 2 hours of Tom Cruise doing insane stunts.
Yeah, basically.
I'm all right with that.
I'm fine with that.
That's
if only this was that.
Yeah, but it's not. There's a film around it. And that's the weakest part of the film, is the film around it.
100%.
Yeah.
It suffers from the same fundamental shortcoming of Gravity. I think it's better than Gravity.
Yeah.
But spectacle is what it's selling, and for what that's worth, it's very well done. But it won't have much of a life outside the cinema, I don't think.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, I did watch this at home.
Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine like owning it.
No.
Watching the DVD or anything.
Commercially, yes, I think it will have a life outside the cinema because people will buy it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, no. Like in terms of its impact.
Yeah.
And how good people think it is. I think some fibre between the Flash would have been welcome.
Yeah.
But it's probably the best version of what it is. But what it is has limitations.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
In terms of like trying to be the film and trying to do the insane stunt stuff.
Yeah.
It's probably the best version of that.
Tom Cruise could have been like more of... He could have had something to do, right? I feel like he even had more to do in Fallout than this.
Yeah, I think so. I preferred Fallout. I like Fallout more than I like
in this. I just like, I have a memory of him like when he's not flying the plane and when he's not doing the plot, he'll just be like in the presence of a character and they'll character at him.
Yeah.
And he'll just kind of smile.
Right.
That's all I remember him doing in this film. He doesn't do anything.
He's barely
really.
there, really.
Yeah.
Well, he just plays Tom Cruise now, doesn't he? I mean, he's never, what like great characterization.
Ethan Hawke is Tom Cruise. This is barely Ethan Hawke. He's not Ethan
Hunt.
Ethan Hunt, my mistake.
Ethan Hawke is not Tom Cruise.
No, that is given.
But that's what I mean. Like, he's had a couple of roles in his career where he's acted, where they've been characters.
Yes.
Magnolia being one. But other than that, A Few Good Men, like Born on the 4th of July to some degree. But other than
Collateral?
that... Yeah, Collateral, yeah.
Yeah.
But even Jerry Maguire, like, he's basically playing Tom Cruise. And that's what he's done now for the noughties.
Yeah.
Certainly, since the noughties. So the second big problem is the ambiguity of the enemy. The quote-unquote, the enemy.
Okay.
I concede that it doesn't need to be specific. They obviously thought they could get away with vagueness and avoiding any offence. But as Bill Maher pointed out, it's a problem there isn't a single enemy we can all rally against. That is a problem. But there's no one in the world we can all go, yeah, they're bad. North Korea, for instance.
Okay.
At first, I thought the lack of specificity really wouldn't matter, given the story the film was telling. He's training these new pilots. That's kind of the meat of it. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
However, the more the mission is discussed, and when Jennifer Connelly refers to Maverick flying in Bosnia and Iraq, and when the mission actually begins, and particularly after they crash, and especially when all the equipment in the enemy hangar has English writing all over it,
right,
and the faces of the enemy pilots are conspicuously obscured, it just starts to feel a bit weird and a bit forced.
Okay.
And it starts to feel like a video game, or more specifically, an arcade game.
Yeah, Afterburner.
Is that an arcade game?
Yeah, that's an arcade game where you fly these planes, I think.
Right, on missions and
and it's like an on-rails thing where it's like you have a set path and you just have to shoot the things down.
Like I said, it didn't need it to be, it's China, it's Russia, and you go into the nitty-gritty of what... But they avoid it so much.
That's the thing, though. I feel like if you do name an enemy, even if it's one that most people are like, yeah, all right, like Russia, who's realistically going to look at Russia being the bad guys in a film that came out now and go, oh no, Russia are good, they don't do anything
but also
dodgy.
Russians have always been the bad guys in movies.
Yeah.
British people and Russians.
Yeah.
What's wrong with Russia? Like, China, I get. Because I think China, initially, there was a big part of the funding came from China.
Oh yeah, there's no way you're going to get a Chinese villain in Top Gun.
And then they backed out when they thought that the themes might not go over so well in China.
Okay.
And you could tell that was like the ethos of the film was, we don't offend anybody.
Yeah.
But Russia are not investing in the film. In Russia, we probably aren't sending movies over to Russia at the moment.
No, we're certainly not.
So...
Did I say it at the time? That I was like, oh really? Our big punishment for Vladimir Putin for destroying Ukraine is that he doesn't get to watch Sonic 2?
Right, exactly. Or you do some chicken shit thing that the filmmakers have done throughout the ages, like the Republic of Konkrova.
Yeah.
You just make up some Soviet disbanded republic.
The only thing there is that I genuinely don't know the answer to this question because I haven't seen the first Top Gun, nor do I feel compelled to.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Top Gun was rooted in the real world. So is it weird that, like, the enemy in Top Gun 1 was China, say for sake of example, but in Top Gun 2, it's fictional Stan.
I get that. Here's what... I haven't seen the first Top Gun either. I also have no inclination to watch it.
Yeah.
My guess would be, and like I said, all this could be completely wrong. What I know about the film is it's a lot more homoerotic, a lot more jingoistic, a lot more 80s.
Yeah.
And in the age of Reagan, and that kind of informed all the 80s Hollywood movies about, like I'm a man, America, fuck yeah, that whole thing. They probably weren't pussyfooting as much as they do now.
Yeah.
They're probably less scared of, like, fuck you, we got Reagan, man.
Yeah.
We got Star Wars. So I don't know. I don't know if they do specify. Maybe they don't. Because I know, again, in that, the fundamental theme is the brotherhood of, that, like, they're on the beach playing volleyball and macho and all. But I don't see why they wouldn't have specified who the villains are. I mean, you've got things like the West Wing, like, what's the African country that they come for help and then...
Oh, Kumar?
No, Kumar is the Middle Eastern nation.
Yeah.
But not that one. The African one where they come for aid because there's a famine and then he goes back and he's killed by the militia that have taken over his country.
I know the one you're on about.
Yeah. That's a fictional African.
But I can't remember.
Yeah, that's fictional. Kumar's fictional.
Yeah.
And you kind of...
Even though that's very rooted in the real world.
Yeah, but I find that okay because there are big storylines around it and specific, like, make up the countries, that's fine.
Well, even if it's a case of, like, we don't want to upset... Even if it's not a case of, we don't want to upset a real country.
Yeah.
It just gives you more creative license if you make the country up. You're not bound by the real life politics or restrictions of that nation. You can sort of do your own thing with it.
Exactly, but you're obviously alluding to, it's like Kazakhstan, or it's basically China, or it's Uganda, but yeah.
I mean, the thing that I was going to say with the, if it was Russia, if it was China... Like, even if you just give them a name, like, it's exactly the same film, but we know they're fighting Russian forces.
Yeah.
It does invite, I think just naming the enemy invites you to kind of, like, nowadays at least, it invites you to, like, want to know more about them. It'd be weird if it's like, we're fighting Russia, and we just never talk about Russia in the film.
But I have a feeling that, I mean, mainstream action films are a very different breed than they used to be. But I know, like, in White House Down, I feel like it's the North Koreans.
Maybe.
Or Olympus Has Fallen. One of those films.
Yeah. In fairness, I think that was before they started launching nuclear weapons and threatened to blow us all up.
North Korea. No, it wasn't. Like, they've always been like that. My point being that I think we might be in the woke international world. I think we might be past. These are Russian terrorists. These are Russian separatists.
Okay.
These are Chinese spies. We're kind of done with it.
Yeah.
Or at least we're done with it being... I'm not saying I want cookie cutter. They're just Chinese bad guys, but like you couldn't do it without showing the other side, without homelanding it.
Yeah,
without like, but there are good people there, and of course that's true. But it's like, do we have to do that every time? Can't we just say that like the bad guys in this, they're Russians?
Yeah, not even that. Not even giving them a sympathetic angle. Just like, these are Russian terrorists, but it's just these Russian terrorists.
They're separatists.
Russia don't approve.
Yeah.
These Russians are evil.
Right, exactly.
But I get your point, though, about like just making up a fictional country that would solve that problem.
Yeah.
It wasn't a problem for me, personally. I don't feel like there was ever a point where I felt like the film was like it would have actively improved the film had I known who they were fighting.
No, it's not necessarily that I feel like it would have made a better film. It would have made it less of a pussy. Because it's the top grossing film of the year.
Yeah.
And I just
it's on that list though. It's on the highest ever list.
And like, what kind of example it's at? I mean, it's not even lowest common denominator.
No.
Because it doesn't have a common denominator. You can't even say, the bad guys, they're from the Soviet bloc. It's not like, what can we all agree is evil? It doesn't even have that. It's just, they're evil.
Well, Republicans, right?
Well, yeah.
But you can't go and blow up an illegal Republican nuclear plant or whatever it is in this.
Yeah, like, I don't know, the KKK. That's the closest you get to...
This is the secret KKK nuclear power facility.
Oh, God. But you know what I mean? It's not even lowest common denominator. Yet they haven't even picked something that we can all agree. They haven't even gone, okay, it's like North Koreans, but it's not even reflective of the state.
Yeah.
They're particularly bad North Koreans too. They can't even do that. There's nothing. It's not even lowest common denominator.
But to sort of go back to Bill Maher's take on this, is that the film's fault or is that our fault? That there is no common denominator?
Oh, it's culture's fault, and the film cowardly bowed to it.
Right.
10 years ago, the enemy wouldn't have been ambiguous. I just don't believe it.
No.
10 years ago, maybe, you get into that point, but certainly not 20.
Or there would have at least been like we don't know where these guys came from.
Right. Yeah, or they would have just made up a country.
Yeah.
They would have, because the get out before was, right, we're clearly doing Russia, but we're gonna make up a country.
Or they could have die-harded it, where it's this is a group of terrorists from all of these nations.
I mean, they couldn't in this case because they're attacking a nation. They go into
maybe not in this case, but just do that.
Yeah, generally speaking, yeah.
Yeah, we've got a Japanese, we've got a German, we've got
an Italian. Yeah, the Axis.
Italian. Yeah, exactly.
Something about that in Die Hard. Because all the bad guys are axis of evil countries.
Yeah, yeah.
And now they'd be North Koreans, Iranians, and Iraq. But no, you can't do that.
It just seemed genuinely mad for a moment.
I genuinely was mad.
Yeah.
I am mad. Can't we fucking agree North Korea as a country, as an administration, is bad? They couldn't have said it was North Korea.
But there are people in North Korea that might be alright.
Yeah, loads. The people are, I'm sure. They're like any other people anywhere.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, we're not going to war with North Koreans, we're going to war with North Korea. There's a difference. You're not going to, you're not going to war with Islam, you're going to war with ISIS. They're two very distinct things. And people who do conflate them, what are they saying? It is annoying, and again, it's not like, I need to know who it is. And I think the thing with, when they go into the enemy hangar that has English writing over all the planes and equipment is a detail that would go over most people's heads because they don't single out, they don't highlight it, but it's all just there in English. It was more when they have clear visors and the pilots in the other planes.
Clear visors that are labelled with their call signs.
Right. And then it's just black. It's like stormtroopers. It's just Star Wars, just evil thing.
Yeah.
That was when I was like, oh, you're copping out now. Because we won't even see... If they were white, could anyone have argued with that? They're white. All we know about that is that it's not China, and it's not anywhere in Africa, really.
And it's not the Middle East.
And it's not the Middle East. So all the places we want to avoid...
somewhere in Africa.
Well, snowy mountains.
South Africa.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just unrealistic, isn't it? That South Africa has those sorts of... Look, at the end of the day...
I know what you're saying, yeah.
No, but also at the end of the day, the way it's depicted in the film, that kind of technology and that environment, it is Russia, isn't it? It's snowy mountain peaks, and it's old plains like they have in Russia.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
It most likely is Russia.
If you're going to pick anywhere, it's there.
I think I saw an interesting theory that it was America.
Yeah. But that's because it's leaving it open for that.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. Yeah, it's not that's not really in the film. There's nothing in the film. That's the point. You could say, oh, new film theory, the reason the equipment's all in English is because America sold all of that equipment to whatever country this is. So it's really a comment on how we're warmongers or whatever.
I'm sure it is, and I know that...
But there's none of that. It's so broad. It's not so open.
Yeah, and I know that obviously other countries will have technology with equipment in English because it's been pilfered or it's been made. But with everything else, it just felt like, you're avoiding that too.
No, it was that.
And that's the thing. If they were white... All we would have known about them is that they're not from Africa, Middle East, or China.
But everyone would have said, "Oh, they're Russian then."
No, they're not Russian.
No, but everyone would have thought that.
But you know what I mean, though. It's it could be any.
That might have genuinely been the point that was made in the producers' room. It's well, they're not Russian though. Yeah, but everyone will think they are.
Yeah, I just thought it was a cowardly move. Also, in that final segment where it's Tom Cruise and Miles Teller in the plane together, there is absolutely no jeopardy. Because the film is not going to kill both Tom Cruise and Miles Teller. They might have killed Tom Cruise, even though I think he would have gone, I'm not going to be killed.
Yeah.
But it might have done that as it's bittersweet, he gave his life up or whatever. But it definitely wasn't going to kill both of them.
No.
And that takes all the jeopardy out of it. And then Glenn Powell just rocks up in a move that I'm calling Deus Ex 10 Machina.
Yeah, there's no way he was just going to sit in a plane on the aircraft carrier and not be a part of the finale, was there?
No, exactly. What's better, Deus Ex Mach 10?
Mach 10? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, Mach 10.
Yeah.
Glenn Powell is supposed to be the unlikable one, but I thought a mustachioed Miles Teller playing piano was way more annoying.
Are you just not a Miles Teller fan, or are you...
No, I mean, I like Whiplash, but I get the sense he's probably a prick in real life.
Yeah.
And also, a mustache in 2022?
A mustache like that in 2022?
Either a hipster or a paedophile in your 50s and 60s.
It goes beyond hipster.
Yeah, way beyond... Yeah, but it's because his father had a stash. It's like, I know we're dealing in nostalgia here, but really? He's honouring his father with the medium of his upper lip?
Yeah. Just the piano would have been enough, right?
Even that. Because it's the same song as well.
I know that's pretty oh, fucking hell. But yeah, he didn't have to look that much like the guy.
No, I know. And I watched it just off the back of Cobra Kai Season 5.
Right.
And I'm so fucking done with the nostalgia bullshit.
Okay.
I know we've said that loads.
Yeah.
And I'll admit, this film doesn't traffic in it that much. It's not drastic.
It is a bit jarring when they show actual footage from the first Top Gun.
It is, yeah.
Because it's just so obviously...
Of its time.
Of its time.
Yeah. And I haven't seen Top Gun, but like I said, it's... And also there's a joke in it, at the very beginning, where he ejects and he just lands in the middle of nowhere and he walks into a diner and he says, "Where am I?" And the kid goes, "Earth." Perfectly fine. But I've seen that joke done in Eraser.
Okay.
I know it's not like a massive pop cultural touchstone. But yeah, in that Schwarzenegger crash lands and then there are two kids playing in a scrapyard and he says, "Where am I?" And then they go, "Earth. Welcome." Which is funnier.
Right.
Which is funnier. All that said, it, broadly speaking, wasn't annoying.
No.
It's actually not, like, I worked myself up into a rant there about the cowardice of the culture, but it's not a film to rant about in that way. Like, it's fun enough while it lasts, but I have no inclination to watch it again, nor do I think I ever will.
Okay.
And I could be way, way off on this one. I said this to you the other day. But when the novelty of the flying stuff has become truly entrenched in the culture, like, oh yeah, that's what we know that film for. Between the cheesy romance with him and Jennifer Connelly, the non-specific baddies, and the general underdevelopment of everything but the action, I have a feeling that people are going to look back on this in a few years and think, that actually wasn't that good, was it? In fact, it might be a bit rubbish.
Maybe if there's a sequel.
Okay.
Yeah, like I can see...
And it pales in comparison.
Yeah. Either the third film is much better than the second, and we go, oh yeah, we like the second. I don't know why.
Like Paddington.
Yeah, I guess.
The first Paddington.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it makes that film look shit by comparison.
I won't go that far, but yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
everyone
film
remembers Paddington.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. The Unbearable Weight of Massing Talent.
Right.
Paddington 2 is incredible.
It is.
Yeah, it's a masterpiece. Or the third film is as good as the second film was, but people don't like it. So
because they're used to it.
Yeah, so it forces them to reassess the second one. Yeah. But I think if this is Top Gun, if this is it now, or at least this is Tom Cruise's Top Gun, that's it. I don't know. I don't think I'm not as certain of that as you are.
I'm not certain. I just have a feeling. I have a feeling it's going to have the Gravity effect.
Okay.
Where it's...
People still like Gravity, though.
They don't.
No, I think people do.
Who likes Gravity?
Well, I don't know specific people.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah, people still like it. Obviously, there's still people that like it, but it doesn't have the 12 Oscar nominations. Like, it doesn't have that. You know, we looked at those 2020 awards.
Yeah.
I think in, what would it be now? In
33?
Yeah, so in 11 years, I don't think it would get those nominations.
Okay.
It might get a director nomination, but I just don't see it sweeping the boards like it did before.
Okay.
I just think it's going to age. I do. And I think when people don't have it on the big cinema screen and they have to just watch the story at home, they're gonna find it wanting, is my prediction.
Okay. We'll see. Do
you recommend it?
I do, but I don't know who to recommend it to, because everyone's already seen it.
Just people in it, yeah. Well, I don't.
Okay.
But except for the flying sequences, but just YouTube it.
Okay.
And for the final films kind of review,
right,
we're going to review as a clump Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Thor Love and Thunder, and kind of Ms. Marvel.
Right, okay.
She-Hulk is on at the moment, and I could have talked about that a bit, but we'll do that, or I'll do that when the season is finished.
Are you going to make me watch She-Hulk?
No.
Okay.
No, I won't.
Thank you.
Plot spoiler, I fucking hate it.
Okay. Plot spoiler?
Yeah. Okay, let's just dive into it.
Okay.
So, Doctor Strange, let's start with that.
Oh, right, so we're not, like, They are separate reviews, but it's like a chunk.
Kind of, but it's Marvel in it.
Okay, so I was going to say, what does it say about us is our final review is 3 reviews at one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, basically we'll break it down. We'll start with Doctor Strange. I watched this a long time ago.
Yeah, well, we recorded episode 60 in 2 chunks.
Yeah.
And I think there was some debate as to whether we throw Doctor Strange into the final chunk of that episode.
That's right.
So that kind of gives you
an idea. It's been a long time ago.
Of how long it's been.
So I have 2 notes.
Okay.
Look, I didn't like it. It goes without saying.
Yeah.
All right? That goes without saying is it's rubbish. The first note is it's unclear why she can't just conjure her own children.
Well, you've immediately shot to like the heart of the problem, haven't you?
What's the only 2 notes I've got?
This is that's the big. Yeah. What's your other note? Just to get it out the way.
Oh, in the fight, the big fight that they have at the temple or whatever. With
which one?
They have a big fight where they're trying to guard the girl at the temple, all the monk people, and then she comes flying in as like, "Give her up, or I'll fucking kill you all."
Sure, that's a thing that I remember.
I just noticed that in the fight they left all the women and then the black woman, so all the men died.
Yeah.
And then it was just the women left, and then the white women died, and there was a black woman left.
Oh, right, okay.
That's it.
That's a multi-strange amount. Yeah, all right. So it's not very good. It's just like
I'd save your reserves of ire, though.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. Well, it was underwhelming. I think like this film was hyped up as like in the wake of No Way Home. I don't know whether it was just like residual energy from that, but this was like one of like the fastest pre-ordered films ever or something like that. So it held some records.
Okay.
And just like the reputation they had going into it was like, oh, there's going to be all of these cameos, all of these people are going to be in it. Fucking Deadpool's going to be in it, and the X-Men, and the Fantastic Four, and the like all of this shit.
Yeah.
Like this is going to be the biggest film ever. And then you watch it, and it's quite small.
I know what you're saying.
Shockingly. Like given that it's the multiverse, and given that there is like universal clashes and it brings in all these characters that have not been in the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse now, I guess, in the MCM before. It feels quite quaint and quite small and quite incidental almost.
It certainly feels incidental.
I know it has implications going forward.
Yeah.
Like the status quo is slightly tweaked.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, it does have a place in the grand story thing. But it felt quite like... If I hadn't watched this, I wouldn't really have missed anything. I don't disagree
with you. I mean, it's calling it small. Like, what does that say? It's a big film. It's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff. A lot of plot. A lot of character stuff. A lot of universe stuff.
Yeah.
But they all feel incidental now. They all feel quaint.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah. That's the thing. Like I said, this is the multiverse. Multiversal travel is now a thing. Doctor Strange has a third eye, and Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, she's the villain. So it's like a major
sort of
like realignment for one of its like main characters.
Yeah.
And it all feels so like
anodyne.
Yeah, exactly.
Beige.
Like when the Mr. Fantastic show up and the Charles Xavier, and I'm like, all right.
Well, this is
it's just nothing. I don't know what to say. It's just so nothing.
Yeah, well, this applies to Thor as well. Maybe we can intermingle a little bit.
Okay.
The films are more closely resembling comic books in terms of aesthetic eye fuck and stuff.
Yeah.
Like just characters from here. Like it's just characters will pop up in this one, which we sort of knew is where it was going. But it's like they're obviously going for that. It's like a comic book universe where any character can pop up, and isn't that exciting?
Yeah.
But it's just stuff. It's just stuff. And I don't care about any of it.
And the problem there is, like, if they are creating this open universe where, like, anyone can sort of be a part of anyone else's story and things can cross over, is that when things don't, it's strange.
Yeah, like, why wouldn't they be now?
Like,
why wouldn't they pop
I'm not
up?
the first person to point this out, but the whole thing with Love and Thunder is the main villain is trying to access eternity.
Yeah.
Because if you access eternity, you're granted one wish, and eternity has to grant you that wish. And did Thanos think that gathering the 6 Infinity Stones was less effort than just accessing infinity?
This is the thing, like, beginning that line of questioning. I mean, Marvel, the MCU is everything everywhere all at once. There are so many different realms.
Yeah.
Like, there's something to be said for a story that you start with, like, Iron Man, and then you peel back and you reveal, oh no, there are other superheroes, there are other realm, all that kind of thing. Lost, I think, is a good example of that. I know a lot of people have problems with Lost, but that whole idea that I've always loved of it's about these people that crash on a plane that crashes on an island. And then, oh, there are other people on the island. Oh, they've been here a long time. Oh, there were people before them. Oh, there are these beings, and you just strip it back until you realize the people you started with are part of this really big story. And that does it well. This is like, oh, there's Asgard. There's the dream realm. There's multiverses. There's hell. There are gods. There are demons. There are sorcerers. There are aliens. That's the thing. It's not just on a divine scale. It's on a cosmic scale.
Yeah.
There are other planets. There are other races. There are fucking ghosts. It's just everything.
It's just so much to keep track of.
And you just, I know like Captain America was the first Avenger and Captain Marvel was before Iron Man. But if you watch Iron Man, you must think, how the hell didn't we realise there were all these other fucking things going on? You know? Because it's like you can't move now for primordial beings popping up in New York. And
so is New York as well.
Yeah.
New York is just saturated with fucking... How don't Spider-Man...
saturated.
That's the thing. How don't Spider-Man and Doctor Strange constantly run into each other?
Because of course they would. There's a catastrophe where they don't both rock up at the same... You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giant squid monster tearing apart New York.
Well, it will get
just
to the
Doctor
point.
Strange will do.
Because at the minute we know that obviously those actors are under contract and they are told, obviously, you must be a positive cultural face. Like, you will say good things about the films. You'll conduct your personal life admirably and appropriately.
Yeah.
You do not give spoilers away. You kill someone if they are on the... You wait to the day where they are just in pens because they never know who's going to pop up in each other's films. And so they're just going to keep them in cages. Like Tom Holland, you're going to be in the Hulk's thing today. Okay. You know, that's what it's going to get to.
Smile.
Yeah, smile, you fucking cretin.
Yeah. Aren't you grateful that you have a career?
Exactly, yeah. Sign a dotted line, you fuck.
Yeah.
While the TV
you do
shows,
literally nothing good outside of Spider-Man. This is all you are.
Yeah, it really is with him.
Yeah.
While the TV shows are still exorbitantly expensive, and it shows, and random characters from the franchise pop up here and there, the shows now emerge relatively small scale. I mean, WandaVision is the MCU's version of an indie.
Yeah.
And that bespeaks a gross excess in itself, doesn't it? That's their version of an indie.
I don't even know if I've seen a Marvel TV show. Isn't there like 20 of them already?
Yeah, there's got to be around 10 now.
Yeah.
But it's like the films need to doubly compensate. They've got to be bigger and snarkier and ultimately emptier than the shows, which isn't to say that the shows are themselves substantial, because they're not. But you know what I mean? Because we have the shows now, and they're multi-million-dollar things with all this action, and the films go, right, well, what makes the film special? Why should people come to the cinema? Make it everything big.
Yeah.
The universe is I'm getting palpitations talking about
I've got fucking agenda.
Yeah.
Talking about Marvel.
Yeah. Angina. Jesus.
Angina, yeah. No, it's, yeah, well, what you were saying about, like, people being under contract.
Yeah.
So the Scarlet Witch is evil.
Kind of.
Yeah,
But she's relatable.
She's broody, right?
Well, greedy.
Yeah. For children that have never existed.
No.
She's not... What does the film think she is? Does the film think she's a villain? Does the film think she's a tragic hero? What does the film think
The film thinks that she's an anti-hero, a fallen hero that has a very relatable pang.
Right.
And we get why she's doing what she's doing, but ultimately we know that she shouldn't be doing it. So we're with the side of Doctor Strange.
Okay, well, we're not, and she doesn't. She doesn't have a relatable motivation. She has a baffling motivation.
It is weird.
I genuinely don't understand. I want someone to sit here and explain to me
I don't.
why it's related. No, I want
I don't care.
I cannot fathom how this is in any way relatable.
Why?
I get the whole, like, oh, it's a mother who's lost her children.
Yeah.
But she hasn't.
No, I know.
She hasn't lost her children. What she has lost is Vision, Paul Bettany.
Yes.
And I know, like, I haven't seen WandaVision. I'm sure WandaVision deals with that. But...
I don't know. I can't remember.
No, that's the thing I genuinely don't know. And you've fucking seen it as well.
I've watched it. I can't remember.
But, like, would you not... her whole motivation in this film is like, oh, I want my family back.
Yes.
I am, like, ripping open the multiverse and tearing down anybody in my way just so I can have my family again.
Right.
Vision does not come up once.
No, that's true.
Vision is never mentioned. Not only is Vision never mentioned, I know, not from seeing WandaVision, but I know just from, like, people in the culture, There is a version of Vision in the MCU right now.
Is there?
There's like a white Vision or something at the end of like WandaVision, and like they kind of let him go. So it's like
I don't know.
I think it's like Vision's conscience, but like in a different being.
Okay.
Someone that's actually real and tangible, and that she can track down and be with. No, I want my fake children instead.
I don't have a problem
and
with...
that's why why I used contract as a tangent, because in all likelihood the reason that he's not a part of this story is just because they couldn't get him.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Frankly, it's the only reason I would like grant the film like a pass.
Yeah.
Not even that, but just like, oh, we couldn't get Paul Bettany, so we can't use him in a story.
Well,
like, okay, at least that's something.
WandaVision, it does it is about he's died, she can't take it, so she's invented a reality where he's still there.
Yeah.
So I think they would have felt it redundant. I'm not saying that they're story experts, but they probably, we did that in WandaVision. That's all about she's lost him and now she wants him back and all that. So they did the kids, because the kids kind of pop up near the end of WandaVision.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with the fact that the kids never existed, because the fact of the matter is, if you injected me with a drug that made me feel like I'd lived a certain 20 years, and they go, oh no, it actually never happened, you were here the whole time. That still happened in my experience.
Yeah.
But I had like a wife. You can't just take that away from me. I don't have a problem with that. It's more just she has the power. Kids.
Yeah.
She can just invent them.
Yeah.
Just do it. Live your fantasy. You did it already once.
Yeah.
And there might be some bullshit in-universe thing about why she can't do it again, or...
I think there's like... Do they say it in the film where it's like, well, why don't you just go to a universe where your kids are alive but you're dead?
She says, shut up.
No,
shut the fuck up.
No, because it's like... No, because she's trying to steal the woman's power. America. She's trying to steal
America, who's Hispanic.
Yeah, funny that.
I know that America is like a Hispanic girl's name, like America Ferrera, but that they were trying to say something.
Oh, of course. She's got like the star on her back. It's not subtle.
No. This is America.
Yeah. Don't catch you slipping now.
This is America. Throw my back over the border.
Oh dear. We've gone like how long without any controversy?
That's because we're close to the end now. I feel like I'm riffing.
It's all coming out now. They're like, well, why don't you just ask America nicely to like take you to a universe with your children? And she's like, no, I have to have the power myself. And they're like, why? And she's like, oh, what if my children fall ill with a sickness that can only be cured in a different multiverse? I need to have that power. It's just so like fucking
contrived.
Yeah, there's so many iterations of this script where she could achieve her goal, her baffling, ridiculous goal, without hurting anyone. And it's just like, no, one to be bad because cool.
Yeah.
And Doctor
Strange. Because the Scarlet Witch is a villain, and they didn't. She hasn't been introduced that way. So, we'll do the film where she is that. We can't make it permanent because we like her. Apparently,
yeah. She's irredeemable at this point, though. The amount of people she kills in this film,
I know.
People that where like the film thinks we like as well, like Mr. Fantastic and Charles Xavier.
Yeah.
She murdered them. There's no redeeming this character.
They'll find a way.
But that's the thing. I know they're going to try, and that bothers me.
Yeah.
The film I'm angry for a film that hasn't even started being made yet.
Well, it's Marvel. You're right to be angry about what's coming. I mean, how many times have we had this conversation on the podcast?
Yeah.
Just how, well, let's get to the reductio ad absurdum of shit, which is Thor: Love and Thunder.
Okay. Well, I'll get it out of the way. One more point about Doctor Strange.
No, fine. Sorry, I thought you were done.
No, it's just to sort of say, like, one of my big problems... Well, there are many big problems with Doctor Strange. But one problem that I had, which I haven't really seen people bring up, I think some people have. I'm sure some people have. How does the magic work?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Doctor Strange is magic. He is a magic man.
Yes, he's the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yes. How does the magic work?
Go on.
No, that's my question. How does the magic work?
That's magic.
Am I just supposed to am I supposed to understand what Doctor Strange's powers are and what their limitations are and what he's doing and
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I guess the idea is just there's magic and you can use it.
Yeah.
And then he's just gotten better and better at it.
Because they're like, oh, there's magic, which is what Doctor Strange is, and then there's witchcraft, which is what Wanda is. And they can both do similar things, but also they don't. And...
Are they not the same thing?
No, she's a witch.
I know she's a witch, but is that not like it's tapping? Is it not like Hermione and Harry, or are they fundamentally different?
No, there's like different...
It's a whole different thing.
Yeah, different
rules and
things they're tapping into. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's just like I'm just watching the film and like every spell, apart from the portals, every spell that Doctor Strange casts is different from the last one, and that's true between films as well. I think if you put every like piece of Marvel media he's been in side by side, there's basically no consistent spells.
He hasn't done there's no Expelliarmus, is there? No,
exactly. Right, there's no Accio, there's no Avada Kedavra, there's no like baseline to the magic.
Right.
Like I'm just watching the film whenever they're in an action sequence. I'm just like, well, I don't know if you're under threat right now.
Yeah.
Like when he has that musical fight with the other Doctor Strange, and it's like it comes out of nowhere and it's never done again. I'm like, did that take effort for you? I don't know.
I know what you mean. I think they're obviously trying to show the variety of it.
Oh, it's definitely that. It's so the spectacle doesn't get old. But the thing they lose is
stakes and an understanding of
I'd like to understand. I understand Iron Man's abilities. I know he gets like new abilities every film. Yeah. There's like 1 or 2 showcases, but I've never like not understood Iron Man.
Yeah.
Same with Captain America.
He's strong.
Yeah, exactly. There's like, okay, I get them. I know when they're struggling. I know when they're being tested. Doctor Strange, I don't fucking know.
I think it reminds me of that. Is it Austin Powers where that guy is like, I suggest you stop asking questions and just enjoy yourself. And he looks at the audience and goes, and I suggest you do the same. Yeah. That's what it is, isn't it? I mean, it doesn't matter. Who cares?
Okay.
Who cares?
All right. Okay. Yeah. Fine. What part of the film does matter?
Marvel?
Yeah.
Oh, the heart of it. The mother looking for her children.
Okay. But that's, as we've discussed, that's absurd.
Who am I being here?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm asking this question sincerely, in all honesty. My point is, if I'm like, oh, here's my criticism of this film, and the response is, well, don't worry about that part of the film. That bit's not important.
Right.
Well, what bit is important then?
Yeah, that, I would say. That's what they would say.
Yeah.
It's about the mother trying to rediscover her children and the fight to make sure it doesn't happen.
I think that's stupid. And it's done stupidly.
Am I still being like Kevin Feige here?
Sure.
Look at my car. Look at the car I have.
You don't have this car. You'll never have this car.
Look at my wallet. This today's wallet.
Oh god, that's my Tuesday wallet. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, look, it's rubbish.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's get to the big one.
Yeah, Thor. Surely that's better.
It's not. Here's what I have to say.
Surely
about
it's not worse.
Oh, it's significantly worse.
Oh my god.
I'll read you what I got.
Right.
You can chip in. We'll talk about it. While it's undeniably a
film that exists.
You can't deny that I saw it.
Yeah.
While it's undeniably a more extreme expression of Taika Waititi's style, it's emblematic of the problems I've always had with his oeuvre. Insubstantial, knowing, annoying humour, and cockiness. Even Hunt for the Wilder People knows it's cute.
Right.
Every film he's made has been overrated. I'm not saying they've all been bad,
okay,
but they've all been overrated. And we should never have given him an Oscar.
No.
God, I bet he's annoying at parties. Like, always on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's that guy.
Yeah, bro. I'm Taika Waititi.
Yeah, bro. I'm like irreverent.
Yeah.
Right. I don't care about the Marvel films.
No.
Right? So this isn't like, oh, yeah, they should have done that. That would have been cool. Not that I think it would have fundamentally been altered by pairing Thor with the Guardians. It does feel like a broken promise.
Absolutely. It's like... I would say, based on the conversation we've just had about Doctor Strange, there's no ambiguity about the fact that we don't like Marvel films.
In general, no, we don't.
And we don't.
I recently bought the Avengers.
Oh, okay. So
because I rewatched that.
No, yeah, there is some good stuff to be found.
I just want to, I'm not a bigot.
No.
It's not like, if it's Marvel, snotty.
Yeah, exactly.
No, if it's good, it's good.
I was convinced, determined, so ready for Infinity War to be a disaster.
Yeah.
I own it. I like Infinity War.
I own that and I own Endgame.
Yeah.
I own the two of them. And if we're going outside the MCU, I love the first X-Men films. I love the Spider-Man films. I love Logan. I love my favourite film of that year. No, this isn't a snobbery thing.
No. But yeah, I would say that like it's pretty
But generally
clear.
Speaking now, yes.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of affection for
the machine.
The Marvel machine.
Yeah.
This film just felt disrespectful.
It did.
To Marvel.
Yeah,
it felt like something that someone who doesn't like Marvel would love to make.
Yeah, someone got in, an enemy got in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's because of that. Because the stuff that the predecessors that this film brought to the table, the Guardians of the Galaxy, for example, that stuff gets like chucked out.
Aside.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
The stuff that the director has previously brought to the franchise, Korg, that
Voiced by himself.
voiced by him,
Yeah.
played by the director,
Yeah,
funnily
yeah.
enough. That little like acting troupe they've got in Asgard with Matt Damon and now Melissa McCarthy, where they're just like acting out previous events of the film.
Yeah.
That gets a whole like dedicated scene now.
Yep.
It feels like, it's like, oh, all the stuff you've brought to the table, that we don't need that. Stuff that I brought to the table. So this is the thing people want to see. This is the good shit.
And I just feel...
Let's have more of this.
Yeah, I mean, God knows how it works, but they have a playbook. Like Feige works out with, this is the direction it has to go in. This has to be kind of set up by the end of this film, because the Doctor Strange film is going to do this. And then, but like within that, you write your film.
Oh, Fat Thor as well.
Also gone, yeah.
So much potential.
Yeah.
Having an overweight, out of shape Thor that needs to get his mojo back.
Weren't we all looking forward to, well, say we, I mean, even I a bit, like the prospect of a fat Thor with the Guardians traveling around the galaxy.
Yeah.
Thor in space, basically.
Yeah. There's
something to that. Because, the all-out schlock, B-move, like make it like an 80s, like Howard the Duck, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like within that, Ryan Coogler, you do your own thing within that. You have to end with the Winter Soldier being in Wakanda, but you do your film. I'm sure that's basically how it works, but obviously very tightly controlled at the same time.
Yeah.
It must have felt like, we were setting up a film with Thor and the Guardians. He went, I don't want to do that. They were like, you did win an Oscar for writing. We defer to you, Taika Waititi. You're talented.
Why is he the guy?
Well, he's the man of the moment, isn't he? He's he's Time 100 most influential person in the world.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm sure he was on that list.
Okay.
It doesn't actually mean influential. I don't know why they just call it what it is, like 100 most culturally relevant, popular people of this year. Yeah, that's probably what it was. He's like, I don't want to do that. Like, well, you won the Oscar. You do what you want.
But
lo and behold, the CGI is fucking despicable.
It's not. It's actually not funny, because I've seen like posts, more than one post, from visual effects artists who've said this film is the film that like prompted me to quit the visual effects industry.
Right.
Marvel,
because how they were treated, or
Marvel don't treat their staff well at the moment anyway.
Colour me totally unsurprised.
Given that like visual effects artists are the backbone of Marvel,
absolutely,
it's not.
They're the auteurs of Marvel.
It's not Chris Hemsworth's Thor. It's not Kevin Feige sitting in the back going, "Oh, this happens now." And
it's not even Ryan Coogler.
It's not even Ryan Coogler.
Yeah.
It's the visual effects people that make those films a reality, and they're not treated well, and they're overworked, and Marvel have this like gold standard that they're all supposed to be meeting. And then Taika Waititi goes on Vanity Fair or whatever it was, and goes, "Oh yeah, the visual effects in my film are shit.
Yeah,
not very good. The artist didn't do a very good job."
Well, it's because he's postmodern and self-referential, and like
he's a cunt. Is what he is.
He is a cunt.
Yeah.
I've always known it. I'm going to say it now. I called it back with actually maybe Hunt for the World People's a bit early. Certainly Ragnarok.
Okay.
I was like, everyone's loving that whole style.
Yeah.
He's a cunt.
But this is not... I know this is a common observation. This film is not Ragnarok again.
No, it's not.
And that's the problem.
No, Ragnarok is significantly better than this.
Yeah, well, Ragnarok...
And I don't like that.
Yeah, well, Ragnarok just seemed to like take it all... That was funny and irreverent and made Thor a more overtly comedic character.
Yeah, it had something, yeah.
But it still had its moments. It still treated its threats sincerely. It still like had a mixture of... It wasn't just, I'm Taika Waititi and I'm really funny. Why aren't you laughing?
Yeah.
For however long this film lasted.
The thing about him is, we're going to go over the time limit, I don't care. It's
You're off at one now as well, aren't you?
It's him. It's not just like, I'm a man of the moment and I'll make jokes. It's not just that. He's in that show Our Flag Means Death, which I think he produces and he directs some of it. I don't think he wrote it.
Okay.
And he plays Blackbeard in it. And I don't know whether they asked him to or whether he cast himself as Blackbeard. But the whole thing about that show is it ends up being a gay romance between the main guy, played by Rhys Darby, and him.
Yeah.
And like he was just nominated for like a Gold Derby award, like a critic award for it, for supporting actor. And it's that kind of thing where you cast yourself or allowed yourself, you're a producer, as like, it's going to be this love story and it's going to get plaudits for being gay friendly. It's just this kind of, this vainglorious self gratification thing that I just really fucking hate.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
do you, Sam?
It's worse than look at me, I'm funny. It's worse than that. It's someone. It's not just thinks he's hilarious, but thinks that he's like, what's the right word?
Look at me, I can do anything.
Not just that. It's I have like a social conscience as well. Like I'm,
right.
I do important things as well.
Yeah.
In a way,
as if just making a character gay. That's all you need to do. Because Korg's gay now as well, isn't he?
Just real as well. But pirates, surely pirates are already like that was a thing. Is Korg gay?
Yeah, the rock man that he plays in.
He's gay.
Yeah, he's gay.
Really?
Did you watch Thor: Love and Thunder?
Yeah, I did. I obviously didn't pick up on
at
every
the end
detail.
he's like, oh, I met a guy and settled down. And it shows them like getting married, basically. So
there you go, like, oh, look at me. Because he's not even gay, Taika Waititi. He's
no.
like, oh, I'm progressive and fuck.
Hang on, is that allowed? He's not gay.
The next thing, I didn't even think... Rhys Darby isn't gay. The other guy in Flag Means Death.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was allowed. Right, okay, let me just finish my thing here.
Okay.
If the problem with DC is that it can take itself too seriously, Justice League being its most grotesque exhibit, and Marvel's is that it doesn't, this is the obverse equivalent of Justice League. It's the New Zealand to DC's Iceland.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, there you go. This is Marvel's Justice League. That's what I think.
Oh, shit. Okay.
You need to strike a balance, for good or ill, and there are plenty of good and bad superhero movies that have struck that balance. It's not enough to make them good films, but I would refer you to pretty much any comic book movie pre-Avengers.
Yeah.
Which, incidentally, now also looks quaint in comparison. Even Kick-Ass, which is the irreverent comic book movie, they strike that tone between they take some of it seriously and the rest of it no. Even the first Thor, Joss Whedon has a lot to answer for. And I really like the Avengers and I like Joss Whedon a lot. But he paved the way for this to happen. Like, we can be funny with those superhero films. Problem is, they're not Joss Whedon. And they don't know how to do it right. The Avengers dialogue is so well written. And it's all Whedon-esque. But each character has a distinct voice. Thor talks like a Shakespearean character. Captain America talks like an old man. Robert Downey Jr. has that cocky thing going on. And Mark Ruffalo's like, he's the normal guy, but he's a bit reserved. And Loki, obviously, evil Thor.
Yeah.
In Thor: Love and Thunder, they all sound exactly the fucking same.
Yeah.
It's all that, we should have a catchphrase. Hey, we're doing a postmodern show. And my sum up sentence for it is, the Emperor has no clothes, but like, ironically. Right. That's my sum up sentence for the film, okay? And like, omnipotent city.
Yeah.
I know it is from the comic books, right? But in a Whedon film, it would have been a throwaway line. They've been walking along this thing with this place with all these gods. Go, what is this, like Omnipotent City or something? No, in this, it's called Omnipotent City.
Yeah.
And the villain is Zeus. That's it. That's all you got. And I fucking hated it. And I think there are things about Sonic 2 that are worse than Thor: Love and Thunder. But this is the worst film of the year.
This is your Sonic 2?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I could say more about it, but I don't think I can match your rage. So I think the film deserves to be left on you.
On that,
okay. Yeah.
Well, let me briefly addendum it with Ms. Marvel.
Okay.
Here's my notes on Ms. Marvel.
Okay.
It's a superhero show about the partition between India and Pakistan.
Is that going to be the thing now?
Yeah, it's going to be superhero movies, but with culturally specific stories.
Not just that. It's just that I'm aware that like Doctor Who's done an episode on the partition as well.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So is that going to be like the big? Oh, you should learn proper history. Here's the partition.
Yeah, maybe. And there are moments...
I don't even mean that like sarcastically or like with this air of like, ooh, you could,
No, I can see it.
It's just like, that seems to be the thing that people are picking up on.
That's the trend.
Yeah.
It's, because it hasn't been done all that much. We've done the slavery, we've done that. Like Black Panther covered all,
Yeah.
Yeah, there are parts of that show where just the grandmother character will sit and just explain the partition to the main character.
Okay.
And then like, around the time I was watching that, I watched Hellboy. And I was like, this is a superhero movie.
Right.
It's just like telling the story with these characters... And it's just like there's nothing about it that's racially or sexually specific. It doesn't matter. It's a superhero movie.
Yeah.
And God, I miss the noughties. And God, I miss the 90s even more. And obviously the big thing at the end of Ms. Marvel is she's a mutant.
Yeah.
So that's the gateway into even more shit. Mm-hmm. And we'll keep complaining about it.
Are you officially lifting the Marvel ban?
Yep.
Alright, so it's the floodgates are open now.
Thor Love and Thunder raised its chin at me and went, come on, if you think you're hard enough.
Right.
And I'm like, alright then.
You fucking asked for this, mate.
That's it.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Yeah, again, I can't match your rage, so I won't even try.
Okay. Thanks for listening. Yeah.
Business as usual.
Back to business, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
A bit more spontaneous, a bit more, like it used to be, but not as long.
Yeah. We'll see.
Well, no.
Sam, this was categorically, absolutely, without negotiation, going to be a 2-hour episode.
2.5 hour.
Oh, well, we eventually got you to 2.5.
Yeah. We got me to 2.5. Yeah, okay, but like, what's the gap between episodes?
Yeah, it was
6 months or whatever?
Yeah, April to September.
Yeah, biggest ever. So for this, I will allow 3 hours.
Okay.
But no more.
No more.
No more. Okay, on that note.
Okay.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.